This is an Alternerd reality podcast.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Alternerd Reality Podcast. This is a podcast about gaming. This is a podcast about nerdy things, basically all things awesome. I am one of your hosts, Chewburger84. It is the 7th of November, to give you a bit of an idea about where we are. Though no one really remembers what day it is because it has been a hell of a week. And joining me as always, he is the other half of the OG boys of A&R. He definitely completes me, ladies and gentlemen. It is Hebrew Hammer. How are you, buddy?
I'm good now that I know that I complete you. Yeah, it's what I've always wanted.
I don't know whether it's you complete me as in Tom Cruise to Renee Zellweger, or whether it's more like you complete me, like the Joker from Batman. It's one of those two.
I mean, I don't even get the Tom Cruise
I
Renee
do it.
Zellweger
I
part
do
because
it.
I genuinely don't know who Renee Zellweger is. So.
Oh my god.
Well, to be fair, like she's had so much work done recently that I don't think Renee Zellweger recognizes Renee Zellweger.
That's true.
So,
What's a movie that she's from? Like a popular, more recent movie?
Bridget Jones' Diary.
Oh, okay. My girlfriend made me watch that one. I don't remember the movie at all, but I remember
My
the girl.
girlfriend made me watch that one. Is the classic.
I'm surprised you didn't reference the actual movie that you were referencing.
I love rom-coms. I did not like that rom-com at all.
Well, yeah.
I thought that one was boring as shit.
it is. It's
Give me something with Hugh Grant in it, and I'll watch it all goddamn day.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Love Actually?
Oh wait, Hugh Grant isn't it? Or wasn't
Hugh
he?
Grant
Hugh Grant was
he's
in Bridget
that
Jones'
movie.
Diary.
My God.
He had too much of a diminished role in that movie. He needs to be the main character of the movie. Give me like music and lyrics or 2 weeks notice or something.
Well, it's him and that other guy that's in like a lot of the other rom-coms. Is it Colin Firth?
Colin Firth.
Yeah. Not to be confused with Colin Farrell. That's a very different actor.
If you could pick one person to like be, it would probably be Colin Firth for me.
Why?
That guy's like fucking badass as shit, and he's got like the perfect accent.
What?
Like I would morph into him if possible.
Now, you just talked about two actors who are in Love Actually.
Yeah. First of all, why the fuck are you talking? You haven't been introduced yet? My God.
Yeah, who are you?
Oh, yeah. I'm just jumping all over it.
I'm joking. So look, as you can tell, unfortunately, Piker is still out with just what doctors are describing as just a blistering case of herpes. He's finally able to walk again. He's not chafing and bursting blisters in his underpants, which is great news in his recovery. So our best thoughts and wishes are with Piker at this time. So we reached out because we had a great time last week with this gentleman. We said, hey, would you want to come back again? To which he just replied, show me the money! So welcome back to Dahooch. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right. I'm looking for the Quan. Not the coin. The Quan.
For the Quan?
Quan?
The Quan.
Like homie Quan?
Oh, Lord. Never mind. He's not getting it. He's not getting it, too. He's not getting it.
I do not understand that.
He's not urban enough. He's not as urban as us too, mate.
Definitely not.
No.
Guys, I am the most white bread you could ever.
I mean, on camera, I'm literally the most white. So, I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real here.
As far as my upbringing, like I'm like the worst about it. So yeah.
All right, let's get the shameless shilling out of the way so we can move on. Do you know what? It was unbelievable. Last week we were joking around with that accent of saying we need to introduce the shameless shilling tag. And unfortunately, we lost Sean Connery this week.
I think that had something to do with his death.
I mean, I just felt the spirit of Sean inside me, is what I'm trying to say.
There you go.
So yeah, man, that's 2020 can just go fuck itself. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
It just keeps on giving.
I think it's either you did the impression so well that he felt like he could finally pass on, or you did it so bad that you killed him. It's one of the two.
I think it's definitely the latter. Let's be real here.
He was basically like, "Look, one more person fucks up my accent, I'm done." And then Chew did it, and he's like, "I'm done."
Yeah,
No,
fuck it.
it's
I'm
like
done.
seriously, if I hear this done 6 more times.
Yeah.
All right, it's because you did it well enough. He was comfortable enough that.
All right. So look, folks, this is a new podcast. So new podcasts always struggle in the early days. So we could really use your help in getting more people to listen to it. So look, if you are a nerd, let's face it, nerds hang with nerds. Make sure you tell your friends about this. If you're enjoying it, get them to download it, listen to it as well. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave us a review. 5 stars really, really helps us. And if you leave us a comment for the 5-star review, we'll read it out on next week's episode, usually at the end, sometimes at the start. And if you want to go the extra mile, as we've had so many wonderful people do, including creative name for this week, thank you for subscribing to our Patreon, my friend. Make sure you head on over to patreon.com/ANR pod. You'd think I would remember this off by heart right now. I need to be better at shameless shilling is what I need to do.
Well, you're not shameless.
For example, everyone in the Patreon's been listening to us for an hour right now. So we do a lot of pre-show introduction, a lot of post-show. We're going to be doing live stream options for certain tiers as well. And we have some upcoming Patreon-only streams and content starting in the next week as well. So we really want to make sure we're putting as much fun, extra stuff in there. There's a private Discord, so you guys have better access to us. It's all good times. So yeah,
Discord.me/ANR.
And yeah, join the Discord as well. So yeah, he is the king of our Discord plug for sure.
There you go.
So, America. How you boys holding up this week? It's been you got a bit of tension in your neck of the woods.
I don't know. Something is happening.
No,
you can feel it in the air.
I don't know. Happening. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's hunky dory. Everything's the same same old. This nothing new.
Yeah, I'm just we're not gonna we just spent a whole bunch of time talking about it, so we're not gonna rehash it. But yeah, I mean, after this week with the election, no matter what way you're leaning, I already know you're fucking tired. As Americans, we all know that's one feeling that we all share. We're fucking exhausted right now.
Hey, freedom isn't free.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now suck my cock, Gary. This is why we're never going to get monetized on YouTube. Apparently, there's a new rule now that you can't say anything provocative or super sweary in the first 10 minutes on YouTube. Do you see this new rule?
Are you shitting me?
Wow.
Yeah. So I was seeing like a few podcasts
there it goes.
and
You
stuff.
said shitting me.
I know. Well, I said sucking cock as well. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chew broke it first. I was just following.
There you go.
I think the odds, if we had betting people on the show, that it was going to be me that breaks it, I mean, pretty high.
Yeah.
I usually actually jump for it pretty quick. So
that's true. Actually, I think one of the first episodes I commented, so we're just leaning straight into the F-bombs now, because I'd been shackled to a PG rating podcast for 2 years before this, and now it's basically it's like saying just take the condom off, let's go.
Oh
yeah, I would have thought that you wanted to stretch your legs, which obviously you did, but at the time whenever we did our first episode, I was surprised that you did not beat me to the punch there.
Well, definitely in the pre-show chats. I mean, let's be real. I mean, you guys heard a lot of shit in this one. I mean, some fun and some jokes. Yeah. I think if we agree on anything, that while the world is so divided, there is one thing that unites a very specific group of people, and that is nerddom. It doesn't matter what is happening out there. Our lives are always fun. Our lives are always exciting. We have places to escape to. That all these mainstream people that are watching their CNBCs, if that's a real channel, I just made that one up. We're out in Narnia or fucking Middle Earth, where arguably things are better.
Definitely now, yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep it in our lane for this episode. We might be doing a porn or politics episode. We may bring that out of retirement for a week or so because there's just so much happening in the world, really, but America especially.
Yeah.
With coronavirus about to explode even further, as well as the politics. So we may bring that out. If you want to see that, make sure you let us know on the Discord if you were fans of that show.
Yeah,
because we enjoyed it, but no one else listened to it. So bummer.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about nerd stuff. Hooch, what have you been playing this week?
Ooh, well, really, it boils down to the three different things. Number one, I dug a little bit more into Watch Dogs. I've been really buckling down on hitting that, and Legion has just been a lot of fun. Starting to push more on getting the story content. I mean, I spent a lot of time initially just running around exploring the world, getting new team members, and just trying to push that as much as possible. And then I started to just branch out into getting more of the tech stuff, and then I really started pushing on the story, and that's when the game starts to expand a bit more and comes together a lot. But there's just so much to do. It is a lot of fun, and I always find myself wanting to go back in and just experience more. Unlock some more new stuff. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna get too much into it right now, but I found two characters that I'm really interested in playing. One is called the Beekeeper, and the other one is the Magician. Yeah. And the stuff you can do with those two, totally different than anybody else in the game, and so much fun.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about it. We'll stay on Watch Dogs for a sec because obviously I played it as well. So I'm really enjoying it. I think if I was recommending people to jump into it, tell me if you're different. I'd probably recommend people don't do what we did to an extent and play the story, because you kind of end up going to most of those places anyway, and you end up getting like a lot of new recruit potentials that are recommended, like the Magician and the Beekeeper anyway.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, I'm like, I don't know, 14 or something hours into that game, and like I'm only just sort of getting to the story now because I had so much fun ripping around London.
Yep.
The character that I've chosen to spend most of my time in is I'm kind of treating him as like the villain from No Country for Old Men.
Oh,
so
okay.
he is a construction worker that can summon that flyable drone, which is in itself makes like this game so awesome because like it's literally, you know, it's unlimited verticality really, although there is a roof on how high you can fly. But because he has a nail gun as his main weapon, and he has this really cool execution thing that when you do kill someone in melee range, when you have your gun out, he literally just holds the staple gun up to their head and just goes, fires a nail straight into it. So I kind of like this. So I've taken him out of his construction uniform, and in my mind, I'm developing his own character. So I'm almost, even though I have this unlimited fleet of characters, because that's the narrative, since I unlocked him, I'm just like, all right, he's going to be my guy, and I'm going to dictate his character to how I play the game, almost treating him as like my main character. And I'm kind of loving that. But you're right that some of the diversity, like, so talk about why the Magician and the Beekeeper are so fun. Because you're right, both of them are ludicrous in what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what you say. Like a lot of times when you're dealing with a character, they have a set of abilities that they can bring in, and most of them are centered around some sort of technological thing. Like you'll have like a drone or the ability to hack drones, or as you said, like a construction worker that can call in drones. You even have some infiltrator types that can maneuver in the restricted zones easier because they match the faction that owns that zone. Whereas you get the Magician, and her special ability is to flip the allegiance of someone. And it's a lot of fun to run into one of those restricted areas, break out the watch and she says, you have the sudden urge to go against your friends, and watch that dude just run off and shoot everyone in the area. And so it's kind of an interesting little switch. It's the same kind of mechanic, but it's interesting how quickly that works and how well that works. Because the best part about it is it doesn't draw attention to you. So you can slip through in and out a heck of a lot easier, and you don't have that same fear and worry about, oh, if I shoot this guy, or if I do something to this guy, somebody else might see me. You know, it's a lot easier to maneuver that. Now, the Beekeeper is one I just picked up recently, and I only got a small chance to play with her a little bit, but it was she just has bees. Yeah, you know, and then you can shoot the bees out like Oprah. Everybody gets bees. But if you hit a target, you have the option to electrify and explode the bees and basically empt the person. But if you let that person just get stung by hundreds of thousands of bees, they will eventually run away, get into a car, and drive off like a madman. Yeah. So, I mean, again, like similar things or similar features, but it's a little bit nuanced, and it makes it that much more fun and interesting. And then now, of course, I've got, Bagsy pointing out different new people that want to join, because I've progressed to that part of the story. So again, it's like you can spend a lot of time doing a whole bunch of different stuff, or you can push through the story, and then it'll help drive that narrative through those things anyway. Because
it is amazing, like the different types of characters you can do. Because we spoke about this when we first talked about Watch Dogs. That I thought it was going to be like a feature that wouldn't play that much into it. But the diversity is probably the part that hooks me the most, in that there are so many different like perk characters that it's crazy. Like you've got people that specialize at getaway driving. So their ability to drive a car is significantly better. Like the handbrake function's better, the turning circle's better, all of it. You have people that are hacking specialists. You have people who can hack drones in different ways, that like they can access different abilities. You can have one that calls in a drone that will do a dive bomb. You can call in assassination and stealth specialists. That instead of having a choking animation, they actually have a garrote wire, which is just awesome. But the way it randomizes is quite interesting, because you described those two characters that you had for Hypnotist and Beekeeper as women, whereas for me, the ones that rolled were men. Oh, wow. Okay. And my Magician's kind of an asshole because she has a gambling problem. So, so if you use her, she randomly gambles away money out of your account as time goes by. So the perk system with how random it is, it's one of the best, and not frustrating, but it's definitely like, you can lead to some really, really crazy combos. One of which, like, it's become very meme worthy. I don't know if you've seen many of the Watchdog Legion things this week, Hebrew, but the memes are everywhere. And one of it made like a lot of the gaming news websites because it was so funny. So there was a pediatric nurse, is how she's described as her job. And then obviously you have like the different abilities and that sort of thing. And then you realize in the flavor text for the character, it was fired from the hospital because of an inappropriate relationship with a patient. I want to highlight here, pediatric nurse.
No.
That's an unfortunate dice roll because they've basically made a pedophile in the game. So there's a lot of fun with the random nature. Like I had one guy whose personal vehicle was a double-decker bus. And I was like, okay, I'm on board with it. Like the big red London bus. That was his personal vehicle. So that's a lot of this really makes that world. The story's starting to grow on me a little bit. I don't think the individual quest lines I've done so far are anywhere near as fun and engaging as Watch Dogs 2. I'll still say at the moment, narrative-wise, Watch Dogs 2 was stronger. Just because, as an Australian and someone who lived in the UK for a while, a lot of the dialogue, they are trying super hard to be as British as possible. And they're deliberately like doing every possible British accent they can. Like each mission, when you play the linear mission part of the game, they're literally doing it in a way where it's like, okay, we're doing the guy that's coming from like the Nigerian British accent. Now we're going to go to the real bruv. And then we're going to go to the East Cockney. Like they're literally, it's like a checklist that they need to do every different British accent in order. And a lot of the dialogue is so it's so try-hard stereotypical. For me, it actually bumps me out sometimes. So I'm enjoying it a lot. I mean, the fact that we're only paying the $15 for it with the sub, I mean, definitely says to me that for that subscription price is definitely worth the play. But I think I have to finish that game before I can make a final call of, do I recommend everyone must play this game? Because at the moment, it's fun, but I think if I had to recommend a Watch Dogs game right now, it's still probably 2. What about you, Hooch?
Well, I mean, I never actually got a chance to go through all of 2. As I said, I played it for like an hour maybe before. But you're right. I don't think the narrative is as strong in this one because the focus is more on acquiring a larger team and having that diversity and making that as part of the experience. You know, it's not about the story so much as it's about how you attack each objective and use the team that you have around you in order to successfully get through that. Plus, we also don't have multiplayer yet, right? That's not supposed to come until December.
That's right.
So we don't know how that's going to play out. So I could kind of see where you're coming from. Where if you were to suggest a Watch Dogs game to someone, it would be 2, since it's a more fleshed out, solid experience. From both the narrative and the fact that we're still missing a significant piece to Legion.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of the storylines were just so much fun in Watch Dogs 2. Like in this one, they just feel a lot more sort of generic of like, there's a bad guy. The bad guy did a bad thing, but people are blaming us. So you need to go hack a computer and prove that they did it, not us. Like it's very much like that at this stage. I'm hoping that it opens up and leans more into the whole, we're anarchists, we're this and that. But most of the anarchistic displays of like, you're loose and rebels and whatnot, it's been very tame. Whereas the shit that you did in Watch Dogs 2 was wild. It was much more fun in like what you did to sort of fuck with people that had fucked with you. So I think for me, it's missing a couple of those real Watch Doggy beats that made it a lot more interesting. Watch Dogs actually hit some controversy this week that is going to lead to a content change very soon. And this is pretty crazy. So did you find yourself when you're cruising around town, like, because it kind of like old school Need for Speed, there's a lot of channels of radio you can listen to, right? Most of them are music, but there's 2 of them which are like podcasts, which is quite interesting. One sounds very NPR style, which is done by an actual journalist, we found out this week. And the other one's kind of more of like a satirical show. So did you find yourself listening to more of the music or the podcast things when you were riding around town?
Mostly it was more the music, but I did find several of the audio files. Like when you get the earphones, you can find. I listened to a couple of them. Some of them were podcast related.
Okay. So the one when you're driving in the car and there's a woman speaking, I think it's called like The Hub or something like that. And she's talking about like She's doing like a deep dive, like NPR style, like reporting and doing interviews with people saying, oh, so cryptocurrency, what is it? You know, were you an early adopter? We were interviewing today this person. And it sounds like a legitimate thing you would hear on NPR in the States or like ABC country radio in Australia, which is like, you know, very old school talkbacky type radio. So that was really interesting, and I enjoyed it because it fleshed out the world a little bit more. And now I know why it sounded so realistic, because this woman was actually a real British journalist. She's quite a feminist writer as well. But a certain community has come out this week demanding that they remove her from the game, because while there's nothing that she did in the game that is worthy of that, in 2017, this journalist made comments that the trans community has basically deemed to be hate speech. So this woman apparently came out and said that because she's a feminist, so very much it was very similar to some of J.K. Rowling's accusations, in the sense that she said, oh, really? So what, men can just decide that they're a woman now? And that's just the way it goes, right? So it was comments like that that basically landed her in trouble with the trans community. So there was enough pushback this week, and apparently the guys over at Ubisoft had no idea. And bear in mind, Ubisoft is playing major defense this year. Like, they are under investigation for really bad culture anyway, especially in terms of misogyny and sexual harassment / sexual assault. There's been a lot of allegations against certain Ubisoft staff this year. So they're very much, any kind of controversy there, they're leaning on the, well, back out of this as soon as possible, boys. So they are actually going to completely remove that radio station from the game until they can get a new actor in to redo all the voice work.
Wow.
That's a lot of work.
It's crazy. So there's actually quite a few cancel culture stories this week. I mean, to go back to someone's tweets from 3 years ago and say, this is why you need to remove their paid work for this year. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still uncomfortable with a lot of where this plays out. I'd have to read the tweets myself to justify whether I think I personally believe it's hate speech. But then again, I'm not a trans person, so I mean, my opinion matters a lot less on that, right?
That to me doesn't sound so much as hate speech as it's just ignorance. It's totally removing and ignoring the fact that, yes, if what their perspective is all of a sudden someone from one gender decides that they want to be another gender. What they're completely ignoring is the fact that that person who has made the decision to make it public that they want to express and identify with another gender has probably been fighting that, or more likely been fighting that, for most of their lives.
I don't want to spend too much time on this because obviously it's a hot button topic. You get cancelled just for talking about this sort of stuff, even though we're doing it very analytically. But you are starting to see more, especially new wave feminists, really pushing back on this. Like, it's becoming much more of a narrative that the suggestion is that, you know, it's actually a lot of women's freedoms that are being eroded. This is their perspective, because of men re-identifying. You know, they might have been born a woman in their mind. You know, they're saying that's who I am, and that's, you know, absolutely fine. I'm sure that happens to some people, that they're just born in the wrong body. You know what I mean? But there's women saying, well, look, you know, now it's our sport that, you know, theoretically in our mixed martial arts thing, now we have to fight against people who are significantly, you know, bigger, stronger than us and have an advantage, you know, and you're starting to see more of these things. Or now I have to share a bathroom with someone who has different genitals to me. Like, there's so much to unpack with that, but you are starting to see more new wave feminists really starting to push back, saying that, you know, they need to understand that the more rights that are usually afforded to women that are now given to some people who used to identify as men, that's becoming more of a part of the conversation. So look, who's right and who's wrong, we're not going to debate here today. But the point of the story is that this conversation, until it's fleshed out one way or the other, you know, people can lose their job because of it. And content can be edited, and like voices are silenced because one side of the argument said they didn't like it. So the fact that it's affecting so much of things that we love, like TV, video games, books, you know, you name it, that voices are being silenced, that's where I start to get a little bit cautious. That yes, hate speech should be addressed, but at the same time, you know, freedom of speech does have to work both ways to an extent. You know, I think that issuing death threats and that is too far. We talked about it a lot last week with all the shit that went down with Cyberpunk 2077 and CD Projekt Red, but you know, the fact that all you have to do is say the wrong thing one time 3 years ago in this case, or, 10, 15 years ago in the case of James Gunn, and, your content is deemed to be evil and has to be removed from pop culture. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that, like, you've gone over the point of, like, derogatory and hate speech. That definitely should be, as you said, should be addressed and should be something that needs to have some consequences. Because obviously, yes, we have freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean that people have to associate with you if they believe what you said goes against what they believe or what they want to support for their brand. I think when it comes
clearly inciting violence is where the line is drawn.
Yes.
But see, that definition of hate speech has been butchered so much though, right? Like, I'm waiting for the day that some dickhead Australian turns around and just goes, you just said put another shrimp on the Barbie. That's actually a very stereotypical thing to say that's not representative of Australian culture and actually demeans me as a person. So what you've just done is you've actually performed a microaggression against me, and that's hate speech. I'm going to ask you not to say that again. Even though it's a joke from a fucking movie starring an Australian in the 1980s. Like, technically, you could use put another shrimp on the Barbie, and you could morph that into being hate speech. That's how fucking dumb some of these things have gone. Not the example we just talked about with Watch Dogs. I mean, obviously, that's very different. But, yeah, man, the slippery slope, we're on it, and we're moving somewhere, and I don't know where it ends up. And I'm worried that with the history of video games, we're one of the first things that gets cut. Do you know what I mean? Like, people go, it's fine to talk about it in books. It's important that we talk about it in books. It's important that we talk about it in movies. But video games, no. If we leave it in there, people are going to shoot people. People are going to murder people. People are going to, become this, that, the other thing. Video games are always the ones where they come at us first and they edit us first. And I do get worried when I see this sort of stuff. That literally the content of a video game we're playing right now that had no transphobic elements to it whatsoever is about to be changed because of this. That concerns me on that front.
The hilarious thing is it's quite the opposite, because I mentioned, I think last week, where you have a character who physically identifies as one gender, but you can put them in any clothing available.
Yeah.
So you could have a man wearing a skirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go back to one of your points, like where the video games are the first target, I was struck with the thought while playing the game, like, hey, if more protesters wind up getting run over by idiots, we're going to lose GTA.
Yep.
That's actually a good point.
I've lost track of how many pedestrians I've crushed in a vehicle in GTA.
Let me test your nerd memory, Hooch. Do you recall a video game called Carmageddon?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you remember the controversy about that many moons ago?
Don't remember exact details, but I do recall that there was some controversy behind the game.
So let me ask this week's redundant question. Have you ever seen or played that game, Hebrew?
No.
Okay. So Carmageddon was a Need for Speed style game where there was a lot of street racing, but there was a lot of stuff in between. So it was kind of open worldy, even though it was very linear at the same time. And you basically had cars and you suit them up, that sort of stuff, and then you'd race them. And then you could win races in one of two ways. You could either win the race legitimately, or you could just destroy the other cars in the process. It was very much in that whole destruction derby era of like PlayStation 1, right? But the reason Carmageddon was so heavily politicized was that what they had in the game was bonus points when you ran over people, right? And then it had stuff like if you ran over them in a creative way or in like a hit streak, that if you hit like 15 pedestrians in a row while doing a power slide, or if you spun your car 360 in the air and landed on a person, like these sort of things, you got bonus points for it. So this discussion's already been had once. And they were saying that doing that, and we're talking something like 20 years ago, really, that doing that would potentially encourage people to go out in the real world and, film themselves in videos of them getting bonus points by running down pedestrians. So we actually have had that argument once. And as a result, in a few countries, Carmageddon, especially Carmageddon 2, was the one that was banned. Carmageddon 1 didn't get that much attention. When they were doing the advertising for the sequel, a few politicians, especially in Australia, cottoned on to the fact of, wait, you get bonus points for what now?
Was that the game where like it slowed down whenever you crashed into stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I actually might have played a little bit of that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was a big game.
Super.
It was a big game at the time. Like, it really was. Like, I mean, it was in, like, you know, a lot of the major gaming magazines at the time. It was definitely something that a lot of people played, in many cases because of the controversy. And the way that people were, like, it wasn't hyper realistic back then. So, I mean, it was a lot more animated. You didn't necessarily feel like I was going on a murder spree. But there was a lot of controversial games around that time. Like, there was, I can never remember the name of the game. It's not Outlast, but it's something that sounds like that, where basically you were a serial killer. So, like, you'd go out and, like, you know, kill someone with a plastic bag and choke them out and stuff like that. Like, you could be creative and murder anyone any way you wanted to. It was like playing...
Wasn't that Manhunt?
Manhunt, yeah. It was like playing a snuff movie. That's right. It was Manhunt 2. So those games were banned in Australia as well. So... yeah, we definitely have had that. But then at the same time, like, you can have American History X on TV, which is hyper violent, incredibly racist, but it's done in race centric, not racist. Let me be specific. There was racist characters. The movie itself wasn't racist. But you know, they explored those topics in one way, and video games it's just perceived differently, especially by older conservative politicians. That this is the medium, they don't understand it. And because it's more interactive, they say, well, that must be worse somehow. Let's cancel it. And that's where
that is exactly it. Yeah. It's you're actually controlling it rather than being a passive observer.
Yeah, which, let me be clear here. I've spoken to a couple of guys in podcasts. I was lucky enough to interview two of the guys that did the research on this. There is no link between violent behavior and people who play hours and hours of video games. Let me be real here, right? Which is not there, right? You give a psychopath any kind of medium, they'll try and emulate it, of course. And they get inspiration from it, of course. But, you know, you ban video games, you got to ban books, you got to ban movies. It's a super, I mean, rap music. We were talking about that a lot before the show. You know, you got to ban all of it. So, yeah, I am worried the way that language is going, because it'll be nerds that get hit first, you know, because we're painted a certain way, and things that we do and interact with are painted in a way as well. So we'll see.
Yeah. What's funny is I also don't see, like, the flip side of that argument too, because you're put in scenarios, like extraordinary circumstances that obviously you'll never happen in real life, but the majority of time you're the hero in games, and you're put in a position where you have to protect, you know, a massive amount of people for X reason, depending on the game. Yeah. But, like, for me, for instance, like, you know, there's tons of games whenever you have the option to go dark or light, right? Like, I have an incredibly hard time actually going dark, because even if I try to go dark because I want it for some, like, you know, he looks badass if he goes dark or something like that, I have an incredibly hard time. Like, Fable's a good example of this. I felt so bad about killing the the NPCs in order at, like, a specific time, like sacrificing them. I don't know if you guys remember this, but to get, like, a specific, like, super dark bow for Fable, like, it felt like I felt terrible about doing it. So, like, I think in some cases it actually can, I guess, resonate with your morality a little bit, because like, I'm put in these scenarios where, like, I actually feel like a hero, and there's weight to that. So yeah,
congratulations, you're a human being who actually has empathy.
But good games do that. Like, I mean, games where they make really bad NPCs where you feel nothing for them. Like, for example, you're right. Games like Fable, you're like, oh man, I feel really bad about killing this character. Or even Witcher, in some extent, was pretty good at making those choices feel, man, is there a good choice here? They both feel like bad things are going to happen to people no matter what I do, and you really and ah. Then you have, like, NPCs in Skyrim, where it's just like, seriously, bro, if you say to me one more time that same piece of dialogue, I'm going to kill you and bury you in the basement, right?
That's so true.
Yeah, not because you're a murderous psychopath, but because you've been tortured by the same dialogue line 1,000 times. That chick from Avengers, if you gave me the option to kill that chick in the latest Avengers game for, seriously, you're the best, I would have done it.
Oh man!
Oh, you're talking about the one that gives you the quest?
Yeah.
The quest,
and then once you've clicked on her once for the rest of that gaming session on a timer every 6 seconds. Seriously? You're the best. Like, it's become a meme now.
You're the best.
And if you said you could kill that character, done. Like, until they fixed it, I would have killed her.
Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. I mean, because you can, like, you know, rationalize the fact that this is a game and there are no, you know, repercussions for this because it's not real. But yeah, like weighted, like, heavy narrative games where, like, you can, you know, especially like the first playthrough, like where you can actually feel for the character and you're invested in the story.
Yeah.
Like I think that those put you in some pretty interesting circumstances that you wouldn't be able to be in real life, and it can do something for you, I think.
Absolutely. Summary and story is Watch Dogs pretty good. Hooch and I are still going to play a fair bit of that until obviously the console launches this week. Then things change a bit. Tell me a little bit more about that Hyrule Warriors demo.
Oh yeah, so I got a little bit deeper in it. Last week you asked me a question about how many controllable players there are. It's 4. Cool. So you have did I say 4? I think I meant 3. Anyway, so you have you, the Prince Zelda, Impa, and so that's 3. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, so you can control them all at different times. It's a lot of fun. It goes a little bit deeper into feeling more closer to like you're playing Breath of the Wild meets Dynasty Warriors. You get that full access to all of Link's abilities. You got the ice block, you got the bombs, you've got the freeze with the chains where you can hit them and build up all that kinetic energy, and then they start to go flying. He's got a flurry of arrows. You get to face some guardians. So that part's really fun, and it seems like it's way deeper than it looks like, because you at one point open up the map and you can start doing like quests where you can have like you turn in a bunch of stuff and then you'll get access to the ability to upgrade your weapons, which means you, similar to what we do in like in Genshin, you can sacrifice weapons in order to increase the power level of the weapon you're using. So there's that. So now you've got gear and items and things that you're gathering. It still has looks like it's going to have the gear system where you can select and flip through your gear. I didn't find anything other than just the regular soldier gear that you start out with in the demo. But the UI is there and the flow is there where you can actually, it looks like you can upgrade that as well. So, and then it's just as far as like the quests and the size of the map, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a pretty involved game. And not just a run out there hack and slash. That's just one aspect of the game. Did really feel a lot like just if Breath of the Wild was this game, I still think it would have been a really good game. But to have that Breath of the Wild feel added to that Dynasty Warriors hack and slash beating everything up, I think it's a really good combination.
Hot take on that one from my end. So I was excited to play this game, and I think I had mentioned that a couple times last week because I really wanted to give it a good shot, and I was saying like I was craving another kind of Dynasty Warriors game because it had been so long since I've played that. I downloaded it, I played it for 3 minutes, and I shut it off. I was, for some reason, I'm not sure if this is like I thought the graphics were not as good as I thought they were going to be, and I think that honestly has to do with Genshin. Because I was like, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, this is just does not look nearly as good, in my opinion. And so that was part of it. But like, I don't know, I was running through the abilities and everything. And like I said, I only played it for a very short amount of time. So this is, by no means am I saying like, don't give it a try. I think you definitely should, especially since that's a demo. There's no reason not to. But yeah, I for some reason could not get into it. And like the second I like actually was knocking around people like Dynasty Warrior style, I was like, yeah, no, not as fun, and I just shut it off. So I don't know what the deal was with me on that. I couldn't get into it. But
did you like the aspect in Breath of the Wild where you kind of had to maneuver around and time attacks and be more on the defensive in some cases?
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
I was leading you into that because you do actually reach a point where that does happen, where you have to come across some of the bigger mobs and the bigger enemies, and you do enter into that Breath of the Wild style combat where you're more about to attack and defend, and you do have if you time the dodge right, you get that rapid strike, and you have all that stuff available to you. Just not when you're fighting the rank and file mobs that you just can slash through and kill a bunch of them in one shot.
Yeah, because I ran through the tutorial and was like, nah. But and yeah, so maybe that's the case. Maybe I just need to stick through it a little bit more, because I mean, like I said, like I was really like comparing it to Genshin like in my head just because it was more recent than Breath of the Wild for me.
Yeah.
But like I was just thinking, I was like, this is just so unfulfilling combat right now. But yeah, if it gets more intricate later on, then yeah, I might have to go ahead and give it another shot.
I mean, there is a combo system in the game that you do get to unlock additional branches, or should I say combo enders, as you're going through, right? So it's mostly mash the X button, and then when you feel like ending the combo, you hit the Y button. As you those nodes on the map that you can submit items to will unlock additional combo points, right? Or so you like 3 X's and a Y will be 1. You'll unlock another one and be like, oh, now I can go 4 X's and a Y, or 2 X's and a Y, or something like that. Right. So again, it has a bigger attack and combat feature that I think might speak a little bit more or be a little bit closer to kind of what you remember with Breath of the Wild. And then again, obviously, there's always the larger enemies that show up that really have that feeling of, oh, okay, this is how I had to fight in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, test your grit of combat, basically. Yeah. I gotcha. So yeah, I think that was the issue then. I just didn't play long enough.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the first 3 minutes, because like the first time I fired it up, that's what happened to me. I started playing for 3 minutes, and I'm like, I don't know. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back in. I'm going to give it another shot when I have a little bit more time to focus. And that's kind of when it was like, oh no, this is actually way different. It's much better than I thought it was going to be.
Okay, well then, yeah, I'll play it and then I'll report back.
Yeah. And trying to compare it to Genshin is not fair.
That's true.
And as well, that's you mentioned graphic fidelity. So, Hooch, do you know if this is one of those demos which is basically a cut-down version of the live release? Or is it like a pre-patch, so like being a tech demo, it might not actually have the updated graphics?
I haven't heard anything about it like being that, like where it's kind of pared down, and it's not a representative of what the game's actually going to be. But I suspect that with most demos anyway, since it's just really, the demo is just kind of showing you how the game is, and if they're going to do an upgrade on graphics, they might. I don't know. I think it can go 50-50 when it comes to demos.
I think it was true to form. I think like that's what it's going to be.
It felt a lot like it was just, they were using the same engine that Breath of the Wild used. Yeah. So there wasn't much to upgrade. And you got to remember that came out in 2016, 15?
Yeah, it's slightly dated now. Yeah. It's still good graphics, like, I mean, for the most part, but it's just, it's not, it still is slightly dated. Like, it's just what it is. Yeah. Especially considering it's on,
it's on the Switch.
The Switch. Yeah.
And I mean, I only played it on the handheld. I didn't actually put it in the dock. So, and I remember the difference between Breath of the Wild on the dock and Breath of the Wild on the handheld.
That's a good point.
Night and day.
That's a good point.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very, very different. Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe that's something we should try, is like slap it in that dock and see what you get out of it.
That's it. Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Hooch recommends docking. All right. So, you still playing that Genshin as I am, Hebrew?
Course, yeah. I don't think I'll be ever, or well, I can't say I don't think I'll ever be dropping Genshin, but I don't see me dropping Genshin for an incredibly long time. Like, I farm every day. I don't spend that much time in the game. Like, realistically, like, I spend maybe, I'd say total right now, maybe about like an hour and a half a day in the game or so. Tops. Like, some days it's a good bit less than that. I just do my dailies. I do my necessary like farms. And considering it's on a rotation for refreshes, which, by the way, that reminds me, like, we have to farm my minerals soon because I want to get that knocked out.
Stop.
But yeah, like, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like clockwork, and it just kind of wake up, go through some of my resin. I finish off my resin the rest, later on in the day, do my dailies, and I'm done skis.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I spend a lot longer in the game than yourself, but I'm in a very different part of the game.
Well, you're optimizing like hell, though.
Yeah, and it definitely is. There's a wall that comes. I'm really looking forward to this next patch, because the next patch sounds amazing. The patch notes were officially released, so if you want to check that out for yourself, have a look at the Genshin 1.1 patch notes. I don't want to cover it now because I want to wait until we actually play it in the game. So not too much to add to Genshin this week, other than the fact that it's still definitely yours and mine most played game of the week.
Definitely.
And still enjoying it. Like, I mean, I actually brought up 2 new characters this week. So I've been playing a lot with Bennett and Mona. And dude, they're so good. And they completely change the dynamic of the whole team you play with. So that's the thing I love the most, that while each character, in a sense, has got the potential to be very samey, they're really not. And the whole gameplay experience and the way that you play the game as well, like the strategy you have to take. Like, for example, when you have a healer like Chi-Chi, she heals on hit. So basically you switch to her, She hits things in the face. That heals your own team for every hit a little bit, and then you switch back. Whereas Bennett, he's very different in that he'll throw an AoE on the ground when he does his ult, which will not only heal your team up to 70%, not fully heal, only up to 70%, but will also buff all of your outgoing attack by 20% of his AP. So, you have to play the game completely different because you're never going to be at full health. That means that certain weapons you can't use or certain perks in Abyss where it says you have to be above or below a certain health to get a perk. It changes the way you play. So I do love that kind of element's starting to creep in for me. That in the min-maxing, I'm finding ideas and theory crafting for new combos that makes me excited to go, okay, maybe I don't just level these 8 characters and then I stop. Maybe I actually do keep on changing team comps and I'm going to play with more for different Abyss perks as we go. So that's kind of creeping in, which is good, but the grind is real. Let me be real about this. AR 35 plus, that's big. I hit AR 47 last night.
But that's true, but at the same time, you have an enormous amount more of a grind than I would say the average person would for sure, because you're bringing up so many characters because you are optimizing, especially for the next patch, which is upcoming. But I will say, I definitely, and this goes on with exactly what you said, which is after playing so many gacha games, and Hooch, I'm not sure, are you into the gacha game area, the space a lot, or no?
I'm familiar with it. Played a little bit of AFK Arena. Okay. Also, I'm still playing the hell out of Genshin as well. I'm not as far as you guys are, but I'm definitely into it and stuff. Yeah.
Well, so one thing that it really gets annoying with gacha games, and it's pretty much typical of every single gacha game that I've played for the most part, is that there are a lot. The majority of characters are wasted characters. They're characters that no one wants to play and that they have no purpose in the game really, except to use if you don't have this person. That was what this game kind of had, still to a smaller extent, but whenever we first started, superficially, it kind of looked like that. But now we're finding more and more, just as you said, there's purposes for characters that at first glance you wouldn't have wanted, or it seemed low tier and stuff like that. But now we're finding all kinds of, so I love the fact that no matter what character you have, you can legitimately, even if you just like them, you can bring them up and they will be useful.
Except Amber.
Yeah, well, except for Amber. Yeah.
Well,
she's the meme for
you can say
that's her contribution.
There is one creator that's gone, all right, I'm going to take the worst character in the game and make it a thing. His Amber is pulling out 20k crits on the regular. So
that is super impressive.
I wouldn't write off. That is probably reinforcing Hebrew's point that if you really get the right combination of characters, if you understand the way this elemental system works, you can take 4 to 8 different characters and build 2 very different teams out of that. And that's very exciting. I think where the gotcha element is going to creep in, Hebrew, is as new pieces of content come out with the way they're going to put the perks on certain Abyss tiers, that to clear some of those, you're going to need very specific builds and very specific characters. So if they do that, that might be how they gate progression in the future, is that if you don't have 2 water characters because there's fire shields in both sides of the floor, you're kind of fucked. So you're not wrong.
Hopefully with that though, if they start doing that, that means that they have more characters of X element available, so that way the chances of pulling them are also more likely. So as long as they keep that up proportionally, I'm okay with them doing stuff like that. But it's one of those things where it's just either way. I like being able, all of my characters feel usable no matter who I would bring up. And I just like the idea of that. So anyways, Genshin, very much a good game. Still stuff going on, new stuff coming out on the 11th. Make sure to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so super quickly, any nerdy shit you watched this week? I know Mandalorian is one that we've all watched episode 1 now. You guys just watched episode 2. Strong start to that series for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think episode 1 obviously was stronger than episode 2, but episode 2 still had some nice moments in it.
Okay.
That were pretty interesting. I'm not going to spoil anything, but again, it was some parts that were pretty funny. There's one character in there that's kind of bordering on getting a little bit annoying.
Okay.
But so yeah, it's almost okay. it's good, but it's starting to grate on me a little bit. So
can you give me a hint on the character?
Just
so I
know. No hints. I'm not spoiling anything for anyone.
Oh wait, no. I already know who you're talking about. Actually,
yeah, I'm just saying it's my own personal perspective, and it's just I hope I'm wrong, and I'm the outlier here, but yeah, that's just my feeling on it.
Yeah. So for me on that, because I just watched episode 2 today. We had a big discussion on it, and I was not impressed with this episode at all. We saw a couple of episodes, like there's a couple episodes in the last season that just felt like they didn't progress the story at all, and it felt like it was kind of like a meandering plot a little bit, but not that many, so it was fine. But it kind of concerns me that I did like the first one, but it didn't have huge plot implications. And then the second one, it had like no plot implications.
Okay.
I feel like there's just no sense of urgency right now, and it's only 2 episodes in, so I'm not being like super critical of it, but
yeah.
I just hope that this isn't a trend that I start seeing a lot of in season 2. But this one felt, I mean, Hooch, tell me if you thought the same thing. Whenever it ended, I was like, oh, is that it?
That was it? Okay.
Yeah, I literally all of us that were watching, because I watched it in a group party, and literally all of us that were watching was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah.
So,
I think the thing that we're kind of glossing over, and I'm really trying hard not to spoil anything, is like it may feel like there wasn't any plot progression, but there actually was.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
It's subtle. But... It's subtle, but it's there. And it's not. It's I said it's not in the way you would think. But it does actually. It does tie into the bigger plot overall.
Okay. So to get off this as quickly as we can, so there's no spoilers, let's pivot from there into the general nerdy news. Sticking with the Star Wars theme, the trailer just came out for the Star Wars Lego Christmas special. What did you guys think of that trailer?
Oh, dude, honestly, like, I mean, granted, I haven't watched. Have any of you guys watched the Star Wars Lego stuff that they already have on Disney?
No.
Yeah, dude. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old now.
So yes,
of course I've watched the Lego stuff that they have on Disney already.
How is it?
Lego stuff.
Yeah, how is it?
Corny.
Okay. Like self-aware corny, or
yeah. I mean, very self-aware corny. Both in parroting the Star Wars franchise as well as the fact that they're Lego characters. So I expect more of that from this, and in that trailer it kind of looks like they do that a little bit. I'll probably end up watching it with my kids, since they are definitely going to be interested in seeing it, since they both love Legos and Star Wars.
Yeah, I thought it looked fun. Like, we've seen what Lego tends to do. Like, if it's anything like Lego Batman, dude, I'm in. So like the fact that it's going to be potentially parodying, one of the most made fun of things in Star Wars of all time, I'm in it. Like I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Lego Batman is on a whole nother level, though, right?
Dude, that's fucking great.
Yeah,
loved it.
The trailer definitely shows potential to open it up to something that if they do play with the characters in there the same way they played with like that take on Batman, you can have a lot of fun with this. Like they're definitely showing the Emperor from this trailer being goofy as fuck, which is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, he reminds me of the Emperor from Robot Chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
See, I had a lot of Robot Chicken vibes from this trailer, which I went into that trailer going, oh, it's going to be disastrous. Especially because of the conversation, like the way it had been sold to us previously. Like it sounded very much like an SJW-y sort of take on it. Whereas when I saw this trailer, I'm like, oh shit, this is actually potentially really fun. The time traveling element is hilarious. Like the fact that you're going to have a lot of those classic characters coming in, that's the part that excites me. Because when they said it was all going to be about Rose and Lando, old Lando, I was like, bruh. But the fact that we've got already like 2 Han Solos, like veteran Han and original Han, like all those sort of things, the potential is amazing. So I'm actually excited to see it now. I really am.
Same. Yeah.
Was it like one part I was like, oh, master, my master's master, or master's master's master. Wait, what's going on?
Oh, absolutely. And it looks like Vader's pretending like he must have found out that Luke is his son. And then he's pretending like not to know as well. Like there's so much fun you can have with that, man. So I think it's actually a pretty fun take. Time traveling within the Star Wars universe. Rey being the lens for that, I don't know. I think a lot's going to pivot on how that character, how they make her out to be. That'll be interesting to see. Very much so.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, choosing Rey as the primary protagonist seems, I don't know. We'll see where it goes, as you said.
It's not Jar Jar. Yeah. We can be thankful for that.
Oh, jeez. But you know Jar Jar's going to show up.
I wish.
God.
You know he's going to show up.
Yeah, it'd be a horror movie. It'd be a horror movie if it was Jar Jar. Yeah.
Gungan Holiday.
Exactly. All right.
I'd watch it.
Now, it wasn't much a part of my childhood, but I got a feeling it might have been part of yours, Hebrew. SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes or no?
Love SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay, so in August, they released the movie Sponge on the Run in cinemas. Did you see it? I'm assuming not.
No, not at all.
Okay, so it's now available on streaming services, Netflix predominantly around the world, except it is not available in the US until middle of next year, which is really strange. So did you watch the trailer for this, Sponge on the Run?
Yeah, I remember whenever it originally came out, the trailers for whenever it originally came out, and I watched this new one again as well. But yeah, like it's a weird move. Like I don't know why they did that, unless is SpongeBob bigger everywhere else than the US or something?
Well, I know he's popular worldwide, but apparently, Netflix bid on it for the rights over there. But there was something to do with Viacom apparently in the US. I don't know the full story. Really? It was pretty hard to get the details out of this. That someone was like, no. We're going to do it in a very specific way. But the way that's going to be hasn't really been made clear, other than the fact that you're not going to get it till probably end of Q1 at least in 2021. So there's going to be one of those rare situations where you guys are like the Australians. It's like there's a product that exists, but it's not available in my country. Do I wait for the legal version or...
Well, I've never seen any of the SpongeBob movies.
Okay.
Like, and I don't think I've missed out on anything. Like, the show is amazing, but I have not heard great things from the movies. So I'm not super upset that I, am going to have to wait to potentially see this if I even choose to.
Now, the next thing here, this is not necessarily something I encourage all of you to go and watch, but this is definitely something fun for Hebrew, and definitely a cautionary tale of folks, be very, very careful about what you wish for, okay? And also, because they've now done this, it means we don't have to hear about it again. So Hebrew, you got exactly what you wanted. There's a Gambit movie, bro. You must be excited.
Yeah. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we talk about this on the last one?
No. This is since then. Yeah. Oh, we talked
wow.
about. One of the questions from patrons last week was about which superhero's powers would you want of the X-Men other than Wolverine? And you went on this massive tear about how Gambit is the greatest ever, and we proved why that's
Gambit
bullshit.
is the greatest ever. Yeah. So yeah, but there is a Gambit movie made by a couple of people. And it was a movie.
It was.
This was. I mean, legitimately, it was one of the worst things I've seen.
Yeah,
it was.
It was bad. Did you watch it as well, Hooch? Or?
Oh yeah. It had cameras. It had actors. It had people.
Well, did it have actors though? Did it?
Quote unquote.
Hey! It had Eric Roberts.
What the fuck was that? I saw him and I'm like, wait, is this legit? And then I watched it like, oh no, it's someone needed a payday in the middle of Corona.
Well, no. Here's the funny thing. I looked it up. Right.
2018.
And my first thought was, oh my god, dude, why is he so like hard up for jobs? Dude is super busy. He has 9 films, 9 things in pre-production, 15 currently filming, and 26 things in post-production.
I know.
According to his IMDb.
But is he going scattershot? Is he just like...
No, he kind of is that guy. Like, he's that guy that most people would go, wait, who? Like, no one knows his name, but he's in everything. Like, he was one of the better villains in Suits, the TV series Suits. He was great in that.
Yeah, and don't forget, he was featured heavily in Dark Knight.
That's right. Yeah.
He was, So... he shows up and just does his little bad guy shtick thing, which is very similar to what he did in the Gambit movie, and he does it pretty well. But like I'm just saying, like him from when was Dark Knight? Was that 2000? What God? How old?
Oh man, IMDb it. It's a long time ago now, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, and it looks like a lot of time has passed and age has not been.
Yeah, I've never seen him with long hair before either. That's a weird look for him.
Yeah. So, but again, it's like it was horrible. The Gambit movie was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know which one was worse. Well, no, I think this one was worse than the Wolverine Origins Gambit.
This was worse.
Oh, this was worse.
This was worse.
I mean, the accent in both movies, like we can agree, was fucking nightmarishly bad. Like, I mean, it's equal. So the reason I want to put this,
none of them are good, but this one's worse.
Yeah, the reason I want to put this story in was for twofold, right? Number one is basically to show that if Gambit was really the best superhero ever, he still could have carried this piece of shit. So I think it proves that Hooch and I were right. But the main reason is I want to talk about, like, is there any other of these? Because this has been a trend recently where people are like, I love this character, or if you're an actor, I want to be this character. So I'm going to get a fan-made version of it, and I'm going to put that out there and see what happens, or a fun take on it. Which of these on YouTube really stand out to you guys? So tell me if there's any that you've seen. But let me tell you about some of my favorite ones. There was the lass from Modern Family in I think it was College Humor of Dora the Explorer. Did you guys watch that?
Oh man, that was great.
It was amazing. It was so fun.
Great.
Yeah. I only watched that again the other day after I saw this because I'm like, man, I forget about some of these. One of the best ones I saw, there was the Street Fighter series that they did on, I want to say Machinima.
Yeah.
With Ken and Ryu. That was really good.
That was good.
One of the standout ones, and this was crazy, was the Power Rangers one. Did you guys see that? It was James Van Der Beek. Katie Sackhoff was in it as well.
What?
Yeah. It is. If you watch anything on YouTube this week, boys, as Nerd Follow-Up, please write down right now, watch the Power Rangers. It's not a parody, but it's a much darker take. So it's set in the future. You have Van Der Beek sitting down, basically interrogating Sackhoff about where are the last Power Rangers. Because for some reason, an authoritarian government has taken over and basically is trying to hunt down the Power Rangers. Because a lot of the Power Rangers went dark side and killed a bunch of people. And it's basically like showing what happened to some of them through the stories that she's telling about trying to find them. Oh, that's right. Van Der Beek is the Red Ranger who's betrayed the rest, is the way it's sort of going. It's amazing. It's really, really well done. And I would love to see that version of the Power Rangers universe. And there's a very surprise cameo from a relatively big actress at the end, which in a weird way, old. It's like multiple years old now. I'd say 2017 or older. I can't remember.
Okay. I wonder if I did see it.
It's very possible. Yeah. It was good. I definitely love these kind of, here's a universe, no one's touching it, let me do something with it. Like, I mean, we have Deadpool because of that, with Ryan Reynolds and those guys fucking around with some test footage. What was the other one I was thinking of the other day? Oh, we actually spoke about it a few weeks ago. The Nathan Fillion, Nathan Drake. Let's call it basically an audition tape.
Yeah.
Still bummed.
Yeah, exactly. It was so fucking good, dude.
Well, I mean, the acting in that wasn't great either, apart from him. But I'd still,
he killed
just do it. But they had that guy who played the bad guy in Avatar as well. I never know what that guy's name is, but he plays that real gruff military dickhead really well. And he was playing Sully in that short.
Nice.
It was really good.
Nice.
Another one that's really good that I don't think a lot of people have seen at all, actually. The Mortal Kombat Legacy miniseries.
Yes.
Yeah. By WB Beyond the
It had the guy that played Spawn in it, right?
Michael Jai White.
Yeah, that's the guy.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've all seen it, but that was actually fucking great. I loved the shit out of that.
Everyone was saying that got picked up, and they were actually going to do a Mortal Kombat series off the back of that, and then something fell apart. I think it was Machinima actually went under, but I have heard that there is a Mortal Kombat series somewhere. I haven't seen news on that for a while, but somewhere in 2020 there was news that popped up about that being a thing. Yeah.
Well, if they do it anything like that, like, I mean, I think there was only like 5 or 6 that had come out.
Yeah.
And each one I think was about like, like anywhere from like 8 to 10 minutes or something.
They were good.
But I mean, they were really fucking good quality. Like, I liked them a lot.
Yeah.
I
I still
remember
prefer the
watching that.
Street
Totally
Fighter
coming
ones
in.
they did first, but they were still very strong. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I could see them totally coming in with an Amazon or Netflix series though, easily.
Oh, mate. See, the thing is, the lore of the Mortal Kombat universe is actually pretty deep. Like, I mean, there's a lot to draw
It's very
from.
deep.
Like, I mean, you've got multiple realms, like the different character backstories, they're all there. Like, I mean, say what you will, they fleshed out the individual fighter stories in that universe over the course of games really well. And then when it came to probably Mortal Kombat 10 onwards, they've really gone nuts. Like, NetherRealm fighting games, obviously formerly Midway, they've really gone into like deep narrative stuff. Like between that and Injustice, they've told some great stories over the last couple of years, man. Really have.
And those actually been the stories have been the stronger parts of the game.
Yeah. Actually, side note, if you're into the history of Mortal Kombat, there is a documentary that releases next week called Insert Coin, which is going to talk about the history of Midway as a company, which I think I'll probably check out. Looks cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, like Mortal Kombat, like I'm a big lore fan, and Mortal Kombat actually has like a super rich lore. So yeah, it's just like unlike a lot of other series. Well, I suppose it's probably pretty common with fighting games specifically, but you have to dig more for lore in this game or in fighting games in general than you do in other games.
Yeah.
So like that's I guess the curse of that genre, but. Yeah, it's actually like super, super deep lore. Do you guys remember like my favorite Kombat or Mortal Kombat game to date? I want to say it was Mortal Kombat Deception, and that was where you got to play like Mortal Kombat chess and stuff like that. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
I fucking loved and like Mortal Kombat Puzzle was there as well.
Was that the one where they also? Actually, no. Wasn't there a Sub-Zero? Like single player RPG spin-off as well, right? I remember playing that.
Yeah.
And then I mean there's a lot of like really thing that we don't talk about, like Mortal Kombat kart racing and shit like that. Which was
Well, but like one of the games, had a lot of mini games built into it, which was fucking hilarious to play.
Yeah.
And some of them were like the Mortal Kombat like puzzle game one was fucking legit. So like that shit was a lot of fun.
That's right. Yeah, there was. Yeah, I mean, when they were leaning into ludicrous, there was definitely some strengths. But I have to admit, I think that they're definitely at the peak now, where they're really committing to this really strong, deep narrative. So, but look,
they're definitely taking it more seriously.
Oh, for sure. And I think I like it that way as well. I mean, they still have like friendships and that coming back, which is good. But look, if you're in the community, what have we missed? What's a fan made or like low budget on a major franchise that's on YouTube or streaming sites like that? Let us know on discord.me/A&R because those hidden gems I love when you get like a fan's take on something. Don't send me like a trailer where someone goes, oh, I've taken like 15 minutes of footage across all the DC movies and I've made a new movie out of it. I don't want to see that. Show me something original and new, like what we talked about. I'd be interested to see what we missed. Speaking of things
Real
that
quick.
Yes?
Before we move on, I just wanted to ask one thing. Do you guys remember in Mortal Kombat, I want to say it was also Deception, but it was when you unlock the crypts, and there was one that was a short of cooking with Scorpion in the kitchen. You remember that one? Okay, I just want to make sure that there is at least one other person that fucking.
It was pretty cheesy. I mean, it was a fun fight at the time, but if you watch that now, like it's one of those FMVs that's so cheesy. It's like almost Command and Conquer OG cheesy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fucking funny though. But continue.
Right, definitely worth the pause to go back to that. So, speaking of ruining my segues, The Witches was a remade movie that came out this year. We actually had it in the show notes the week that it came out, but we never got it back around to it. So, because the question I was going to ask Hebrew, did you watch The Witches movie when it came out, the first one with Angelica Houston?
No.
Did you ever watch this, Hooch?
I've seen...
No, I never actually saw the first one. I think I was a little bit,
Okay.
outside. I don't know. I was doing something else at the time.
Yeah. I genuinely remember being scared by that movie because it was the concept is basically there's a bunch of kids. They go and they're staying at a hotel. There's a big conference happening in the hotel, and it turns out that the conference is actually an assembly of witches. they basically have a plot where they're going to turn all the kids of the world into mice so they can eat them. That's the summary of the story, right? Based on a children's novel by, I think it's Roald Dahl, I want to say. I can't remember. Yeah.
Roald Dahl.
So, it was what's that actress's name? Anne Hathaway, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Yep. So she's the taking over the Angelica Houston role. Do you know who Angelica Houston is, Hebrew?
No.
Did you watch The Addams Family when Raul Julia was Gomez Addams?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well...
was that the old Addams Family?
Yeah, the one that had Christopher Lloyd as Uncle Fester.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she was Morticia.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And
so
a great Morticia.
Great Morticia. She was wonderful as Morticia, yeah. Actually, side note, I was reading a leaked version of the original script came out a little while ago for Addams Family. Did you see this, Hooch?
Mm-mm.
So someone in the original screenplay basically wrote in like the notes for like the casting or like the vibe of the movie was basically they said it was written in there. Well, I want it that any scene that has Morticia and Gomez in it, the notes were basically any scene that they were in, you want to have a strong vibe that they fuck.
Yeah.
Right? And when you watch it, you're like, yeah, nailed it. Yeah, it was really, check it out. It was really fun to find during the week, actually. So
I've actually seen several memes where, several memes where everybody's like, find you a guy who looks at you like you know,
like Morticia looks at.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that Raul Julia's last movie was Street Fighter.
I thought he had one like slightly after that.
He died during the making of Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile. So they made the Captain America character Jean-Claude Van Damme, which makes zero sense. And then Kylie Minogue was Cammy because apparently she had the world's most famous ass at the time, which in retrospect, like I mean, any Instagram booty out there these days would take that role down.
Well, then of course, they're notorious for having Aussies play Brits and vice versa, right?
And both sides don't do it well in many cases. Although I think a lot of Aussies can do British accents pretty well. I think a lot of Aussies are actually reasonably good impressionists because we're fascinated by anyone that doesn't sound like us. Because the nearest country is like thousands of miles away, you know. So look, The Witches came out. I haven't seen it myself. I kept meaning to get around and watching it. But in part 2 of Cancel Culture this week, that movie hit heavy controversy. And Anne Hathaway actually came out a couple of days ago and apologized. Did you guys see this story?
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, I read it.
So what they've done with the witches in one of the sequences. So one of the big parts about that movie, the original, what was so terrifying, is that when they sort of transformed and showed their big teeth when they're about to eat one of the kids, right? It was a truly creepy sequence. And they'll try and do exactly the same thing in this version from what I've read. But one of the things that happens is that as the witch changes and gets the big teeth and like the big eyes, so she looks really creepy, is that her hand changes to only having 3 fingers, which is apparently a very specific, I don't even know how I can accurately describing this without breaking all sorts of PC rules. You can't call it a deformity or an abnormality, but let's say there is a condition where people only get 3 fingers that apparently look very similar to that. So they were saying that it is hateful towards that group to represent it that way because you're basically saying anyone with that condition is a witch, is the way that it's being taken.
I think they call it like differently limbed. I'm not kidding. I think that's.
I think you might be right. Actually, I think I read that this week. This story was nuts. Like, are we going to go back and just say, Danny DeVito, you piece of shit? When you had 3 fingers as the Penguin in Batman Returns, you fucking ableist. You know what I mean? This seems like a weird controversy.
But then again, that works against him though because he could claim the same thing for the movie The Leprechaun, which was a horror movie.
How many movies have we had like where they're demons and that sort of thing have 3 fingers, or like monsters have 3 fingers or 3 toes or whatever? Yeah. It's getting pretty hard to just make things that are about imaginary people. I mean, what about are the real witches of the world going to come out and say, "Hey, we've been portrayed pretty badly, guys"? You know what I mean? Are the real werewolves going to come out?
Turn children into mice. Yeah, I mean, so the way I look at it, it's like it just feels like another situation where somebody's just looking to get offended about anything they can find, and it's like I get it. You want to protect people, you know, who being targeted and ostracized, like who are marginalized or whatever, but what happens is when you make a big deal out of it, the opposite occurs.
Yeah.
Right now, something that somebody really didn't know or really, maybe I wouldn't say didn't care about, but it wasn't a thing in their mind. Now they look at it with negativity because you made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And also the context and source material, right? They were looking for a way to visualize like the descriptions of the characters in the book. Right.
See, I can't remember if the book described them as three fingers or not, and whether that's part of the story. I don't know.
It didn't.
It didn't.
It didn't.
Right.
Originally, no.
They said they had claw-like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, well, I mean, we're not going to give. They tried to, accentuate it or whatever.
Within the realm of possibility.
They tried to make it a little bit more sensational or whatever to show that they weren't like they didn't look normal or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So then again, they're kind of like, well, now you're showing that they don't look normal. People will have that condition, or what was the term again, Hebrew?
Differently limbed, I think it was.
The differently limbed people are supposed to be evil, right? But I'm like no, that's not the same thing, because like for me, there's a difference between when I look at a character, there's a difference between a black man playing a villainous character, and a black man being characterized as villainous.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
To me, it's not. They weren't saying hey, people who look like this are evil. They're saying these are evil people, and this is what they look like.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, because I mean, you can look at anything and just say, oh, you're characterizing white people like this, black people like this, gay people like this, straight people like this, but they don't. They pick and choose which ones are offensive, which ones aren't. So on a technical question, Hebrew, with my absurdly large penis, am I technically differently limbed?
Third limb, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Sweet.
That's a problem there, and it's offensive, honestly.
To be fair, that joke probably would be considered offensive by
Get that
a lot
tripod
of
out of here.
Yeah.
Look, Ma, no hands. All right.
But no, I will say also, like, you think of actually there's two things that I'm going to say.
Okay.
One is related to this. One is related to something we were talking about just a minute ago.
Okay.
But the first one was like, I mean, if you talk about like albinos or something like that,
Right.
like
Oh, what are they? What are they called?
depicted.
Differently pigmented? What the fuck is the? What is the condition there?
Point. Yeah.
You fucking racist or whatever.
And that would
apparently you are.
clash with things so easily too. So, I mean, but like vampires and stuff like that have been portrayed as being super pale.
Yeah.
Does that make them portrayed as evil? Like, I mean, there has to be a line drawn.
I'm actually surprised now that you've said that. What's the name of the African American actor who has albinoism in what is that show? Black Lightning. He's the main villain in Black Lightning. What's that actor's name?
I can't remember his name.
I'm now surprised that the Pigment Association of America didn't come out with a fence about that portrayal now that I think about it.
Right. Again,
yeah.
It was, and well, the thing about it is that character is, says several times, disparaging things about black people.
Well, and not only that, he was saying that he was treated in racist ways by black people.
Yep.
So, I mean, that whole storyline, he was a great villain in that story, too. I really enjoyed his portrayal. As far as I only like season 2 or something in that show.
Well, the other thing I was going to mention, just to throw back to something we were talking about, as far as Addams Family, since we were talking about shorts just a second ago, if any of you guys have seen the Wednesday,
with Aubrey Adams
on YouTube, yeah,
is that a name? No, that's a porn star, I think. What's that character's name? No, I think Aubrey Plaza. Aubrey Plaza is the name I'm reaching for. Is that the one?
I don't think it was Aubrey Plaza.
I'm gonna Google both the porn stars.
Wait, you're talking about the original actress who played her in like the
that was Christina Ricci.
Series.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I'm like,
I remember
how
that.
could you forget her?
Please. Addams Family. I want to say it was Aubrey Plaza, but I know I'm wrong.
It's called like Wednesday. It's just like it's called like Wednesday.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza is Wednesday Addams. It's Aubrey Plaza. Yeah, the chick from Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I must have watched.
Well, now the real
question
question is Audrey Adams a porn star name? Because now I need to know why I reached for that name.
Why you go for that?
Not one that I recognize. Anyway,
but yeah, that's a good like little miniseries, like YouTube miniseries there. That's pretty funny. So if you guys want to take a look at that, make sure to do
definitely. Now let's break this PC shit for a second. Talk about just something that's genuinely fucking fun. Did you guys see the auction list that I sent you this week?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
let's go
absolutely.
through this because this fucking still makes my dick hard. So, on the 1st and 2nd of December, if there is anyone out there that is super rich, step 1, sign up to our Patreon. Step 2, buy something from this auction and tell us about it. So, the prop store in London is selling off a lot of really, really big pieces of memorabilia from movies over the last 30, 40 years. And some of the shit in here is awesome. So if you want to check it out, it's on the 1st and 2nd of December 2020 in London. If they live stream this, I think I'm going to watch it. I want to see like how some of this ludicrous shit, how much money it goes for. Was there anything that jumped out at you boys that you're like, fuck, I would buy that if I was Richie Rich?
So, I mean, the list was gigantic. Literally fucking-gantic. But I think for sure the thing that would have brought me in, like, and honestly, like, I'm still thinking about it, genuinely.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I think it's probably the Book of the Dead from The Mummy.
That's big. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, I think the Book of the Dead, like any of the Mummy stuff, I think is potentially on the table for me. Specifically, the Book of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I actually legitimately might take a bid on this. I'm going to talk to my dad about it just because he's a huge fan of the Mummy as well.
Yeah.
Only the original Mummy, let me specify. But yeah, like it's so fucking cool. Like, I think I'm going to have to.
I mean, there's the mechanical hand that from Bruce Campbell in Ash vs. Evil Dead. That's pretty good. They're predicting that's going to sell for somewhere around £5,000. Some pervert's definitely going to buy Felicity Shagwell's outfit that Heather Graham wore. Someone's definitely going to grab that and smell it day one.
Oh yeah.
Mate, two of the big ones for me are the props from Back to the Future. The flux capacitor is up for grabs, and the original jacket that Marty McFly wore in the future.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. So they're talking about they're predicting about £5,000 for the flux capacitor, but Marty McFly's jacket worn by Michael J. Fox. They're estimating up to about
cool.
£15,000 out of the gate.
Some of that stuff in there was like, oh my god, this would be really cool to have. But you know, as I said, as a parent, you're like, oh yeah, I would hate to have that and then have one of the kids go, I'm gonna wear daddy's this and that.
Well,
and
there's one big one for you, Hooch, because I know how much of a fan you are. They have the Keaton cowl from Batman.
I saw that. I saw that. That was one of the things that immediately stood out to me. But you know what? I also saw that they had the what was it? The Have You Seen This Wizard lamppost, which admittedly was something that they were only given to like theaters, but that's still pretty cool.
I tell you what's interesting is that Michael Keaton's cowl they're projecting will go for about £10,000. Like the Batman cowl, the original movie Batman cowl is 10. But Jack Nicholson's hat, the fedora that the Joker wore in that movie, they're saying starting bid's going to be £20,000. Most likely to go for about 30.
Because that fedora is sick.
That was sick, and it's fucking Jack Nicholson. I mean, you could also own Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman boots, though.
Yeah,
that is something.
Yeah. The katanas, both of them, the ones that Christian Bale and Liam Neeson's characters fought against each other in Batman Begins, they're on the table.
Yep. For me, like nostalgia or whatever, like the Joker card signed by Heath Ledger.
That's
going to go for
good.
A lot, I bet. Yeah. That's going to go for like so much though.
Yeah. That's one of those things. And then kind of like as a funny FU to the nerds would have been like the Stormtrooper blaster. So then I can sell it back to somebody from the 501st and make some money back on it.
Man, those boys are going to be bidding on it hard to say it's legit.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff in the Blade series as well. Like, I wouldn't mind the Blade Daywalker sword from Blade Trinity. Like, that's only going for like $3,500.
They had the vest on there too or whatever. And then his whole suit from the final battle.
Yeah, I know.
Blade Trinity, right?
There's some really good shit in there. And a lot of the tech toys that they had for like, what was the actress's name that was in that? It was, fuck. She's married to Justin Timberlake.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica Biel.
Yes, thank you.
And Ryan Reynolds. They got the weapons that they used as well.
Yeah. And the Guy Fawkes mask as well for V for Vendetta.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be real here. Bruce Lee's nunchucks from Game of Death in 1972.
Dude, and the claw.
Yeah. I know, right?
Then there was Wolverine's claws. Why haven't you mentioned that yet?
Apparently because I didn't get to that section. Wait, you can buy the whole fucking Chappie robot? Dude.
Yeah.
How is that only £8,000? Oh, I say that. That's obviously a very...
Someone was talking about that in chat earlier.
Very elitist thing to say, but that's pretty cool.
Early on, wasn't there... what was the thing that it was a full-size version of? God dang it, now I can't remember what it was. It was a full-size version of something. Was it an alien?
Oh shit! They've got the Conan sword from Conan Barbarian too. Fuck, yes. That's cool.
Oh shit, that's a good one. Wait, how much is that?
It's only a casual up to £50,000. They're projecting that's going to go for.
Oh fuck. Okay, never mind.
Again, as a parent, I have to nix anything that could kill or hurt one of my kids. Likewise, any of the realistic guns. You know, obviously for obvious reasons, we can't have that around.
Yeah.
Holy
shit! There's a Dalek in here. You can buy a whole fucking Dalek for less than 10 grand.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Yes.
That's not bad.
You realize there is Wolverine's claws.
That's what I said.
I'm still scrolling. Sorry, I need to pause. The 2012 Judge Dredd movie. You can buy the whole Judge Dredd outfit. Fuck you. That's the winner for me so far. That's awesome. That's Carl Urban's outfit too.
Yeah,
dude, that looks
How much
real
is that
good.
one going for?
Surprisingly cheap compared to the others. Like £20,000 is the high end of what they're predicting it's going to go for.
And all these costumes are actually worn by the actors during the filming, right?
That's exactly right. These are the ones they wore in the movie, bro. That's why this. I mean, am I going to put just like an average prop in the show notes? No, go fuck yourself. Holy shit! They've got the some of the outfits that they wore in Face Off. That is one of my favorite all-time movies. They've got the magnetic boots.
Oh, really?
They've got the magnetic boots from Face Off. Dude, they got shit from The Fifth Element.
Yes. Although they don't have the multipass.
They don't have the multipass. They've got that key.
Do not have the multipass
from the end though.
Yeah. But I was hoping for the multipass.
Brad Pitt's Fight Club outfit. The jacket,
dude. You know what they do have that I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Reynolds comes in and buys
what
Weapon X, severed head Weapon X weapon.
I was going to mention that the severed head of Weapon
X.
That'd be funny.
There's a couple of Weapon X stuff from Origins. I would not be surprised if Ryan Reynolds bought that for a bit.
There's a lot of kit in here from the Gladiator movie too. Like they've got all the different swords that he had, and they're estimating most of those to only be around £1,000. Like, I mean, for nerd collectibles from the movie, that's not bad. Oh, they've got one of the actual animatronic puppets, like with the mechanics built in for Gremlins.
Yeah.
Original wands from the Harry Potter movies.
No. Those are the boxes.
Go for shit ton.
Are they the wands or the boxes?
Might have been just the Bobex. Oh, dude, they've got the wow, man, I love this. You remember the movie Hook? Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got the sword and the outfit that he wore as Peter Pan.
Yep.
Shit, that'd be cool to own, dude.
And Jack's baseball outfit too, right?
Did they? Oh, yes, so they do. A lot of stuff from the Hunger Games here. Wow, one of the models from Independence Day with the attacking ships. I'm still looking for these claws,
the markup
boys.
on these are fucking insane, dude. Like, this is a good business to be in.
Oh,
it's an alphabetical order, so you got a ways to go.
This is marketing nostalgia. They've got the original Iron Man repulsor.
Not only is it cool just to fucking be around all this shit, but it cost them nothing. Probably it's unwanted shit from set, and then they sell it off for.
I'd love just to go into one of these auctions, just sit in the back and jerk off at everything that walks past me on the display case. Like, there's so much cool stuff at this auction. Like, I'm literally going through just the high points for me personally. They've got one of the lawgivers from Stallone's Dredd as well, including his ID badge as well. Oh, man. There's so much cool shit. Jurassic Park employee shirts from the original Jurassic Park movie. That's pretty funny. Imagine they had what's that guy's name? Wayne Knight.
Oh,
is that the guy who played the big lad?
Yeah.
Wayne Knight. A lot of the stuff from the Matrix as well, including Neo's outfit and sunglasses. Original Power Ranger suits and helmets.
Yes,
bro.
Yes. Well, it's not from the movie though, right? From the
shit.
The older
Indiana Jones.
I know. I was looking at that as well.
Dude, I actually might go for one of the Indiana Jones stuff.
I want your budget. They've got one of the costumes from Mr. Bean. Wow.
This one's way cheaper than the Mummy. The Mummy stuff was up to 20,000.
I just saw the book. I'm just looking at the Book of the Dead now. There's two of them. Which one are you looking at? The Book of Amun-Ra or the Book of the Dead?
Book of the Dead.
Save some money. Get the Book of Amun-Ra. That's only like 5,000.
Let me put it to you this way: if I try to go for the Book of the Dead, I will go for the Book of Amun-Ra.
Oh, you're gonna get both of them? Yeah, that'd be a hell of a collector's set to have, actually.
Yeah, it's just like I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for the fact that like my dad and I both love the movie. So
this is a weird one. You can get the hooker boots that Julia Roberts wore in Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
Yeah, what we've all really been waiting for. Oh man, Stallone's bow from Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god. Stuff from Red Dwarf in here as well. Man, this is just so fun to look through. I don't know how this is to listen to. I apologize if it's boring. I'll put a copy of this up on the Discord so you know what we're talking about. They get Simon Pegg's outfit from Shaun of the Dead. There's so much cool shit. Cool. I'm still looking for these Wolverine Claws, boys, because you've piqued my interest now.
You have to keep going. It's an alphabetical order. They also have this
Bone Claws from Origins, if you're interested.
Oh, from Origins. Now, this is one of the things. Now, I can't believe that these words haven't come out of Hebrew's mouth because he is such a fan. Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber.
I saw it. I saw it, but like I honestly already have, I think, 4 lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but used in the hand of Liam Neeson. I mean, you're that much of a fan of that movie because they've got the Obi-Wan from Phantom Menace as well, including a signed Polaroid of him saying "Kiss my ass" from Ewan McGregor.
I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I honestly would like to, but the ones that I have now are just such good quality. I feel like it's gonna be like the same. So
really,
Liam Neeson. Also,
yeah. I mean, the only difference is that Qui-Gon Jinn hasn't touched them, but
true.
I'll be okay.
Man, wouldn't you just love to be just like a bazillionaire right now? It's just like, man,
just buy like all the shit you want.
You can own fucking R2D2. Oh no, it's not D2. It's R2S8. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Oh, for a second there, I was like,
they have Pirates of the Caribbean stuff.
They do.
Fuck.
I know, right? This is just massive. Some of the trunk and leggings from the Christopher Reeves Superman movies. Holy shit. Arnie's outfit from Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. That one's going to go for a shit ton.
Here's one that Hebrew's definitely going to rush out and buy. They have Pete Maverick Mitchell's jacket from Tom Cruise's Top Gun.
I was waiting for you to get to that one.
Dude.
Read the details on that one because it's not the actual jacket. It is because the patches are out of order. No, but it's hilarious. Like it may not be the actual jacket, but it was still used in the movie, like during filming.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when they couldn't find the original jacket, they used this one.
Right. I'm looking at all the X-Men stuff right now. I will say that if I was going to get any of these, I reckon I'd be bidding on the X-Men 2 Wolverine Claws.
I thought you would go for those.
Yeah, they were my favorite iteration too, because they had the cut-in edges that just made them look so much sharper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's the budget on this?
So you're talking like, I mean, it's like £10,000 potentially. I mean, let's be real. There's no way I could justify that much money. They've got the Bone Claws as well from X-Men Origins though, which is pretty rad.
Yeah. I'm sure
they get some Xena stuff in here as well. Look, check out this list, guys, because it's just, if you're a nerd, there's so much stuff in here where you're just like, dude, I have a place in my house where that would look great. Like there's just so much fun shit on this list, and just fantasizing about, well, if I won the lottery, this is what I would waste it on.
Yeah, and it's all pictures and stuff too, obviously. So like, it's not just like a long list. It's really fun. Like pictures to go along with it. Yeah, absolutely. So 1st and 2nd of December, if you have that kind of money. Feel free to donate a pair of Wolverine Claws to a brother in need. X-Men 2 though. Let's be specific on which ones. All right, let's move on to some other things happening. So for Halloween, we had a trailer, which is more of I guess like a recap, if you will, of The Witcher, to the tune of the Monster Mash. But in this, they said, be sure to look for the hidden secrets. So when you look through the Netflix trailer that was released on Halloween for The Witcher,
At the 15-second mark and the 30-second mark, I saw something. I don't know if you guys picked up on anything else. There were 2 monsters that weren't in the first series.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. There was only, I was expecting more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only found those 2.
Yeah, so I don't know whether we're seeing some footage here from season 2 or whether we've just seen some things that were cut out of season 1. I don't know.
But it's something.
Yeah.
I admittedly have to, I didn't finish Witcher. I need to so bad. It's up there with Hebrew's Firefly watching, kind of. I mean, maybe not.
I
as
don't
important,
think it's
but
as like generationally defining for that series. I mean, because The Witcher, let's face it, would it have been as lauded if it wasn't for the game and the notoriety of it?
No.
Like the series itself was good, but I don't think it's the best fantasy series we've seen in the last decade. No way.
I was just trying to make Hebrew feel better.
I don't know, man.
You think The Witcher was
Like,
one
as
of the
far as
best ever? That's the Netflix series?
As far as series in the past decade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. At least off the top of my head, I can't think of one that I liked better.
Than The Witcher. I mean, there's some episodes of The Witcher where it's like, no, that was okay.
I honestly loved every episode of The Witcher a lot.
I mean, the music in that season, I will give you, that's been some of the best soundtrack stuff. Like that song that the bard sings, I still can't get out of my head.
The swordplay was fucking amazing in that one too. Like that's honestly one of the biggest things that sold it for me. It was just the swordplay was amazing.
Yeah, it was good fun. I mean, Cavill's pretty great in it too. But yeah, there are some scenes I'm like, I don't know, man. I gotta watch it again, but I don't think it's as defining as a Firefly. I really don't.
No, I mean, I agree. It's just that I was trying to make Hebrew feel a little better about not watching Firefly.
Don't.
I mean, that's your answer right there. I haven't even seen Firefly.
That's true. Well, you need to watch and report back.
Times.
Is Firefly better than Witcher or vice versa? That'll, if you say no, that's going to be a healthy debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, after I watch it. How long is it again? It's only one season, I remember, but you said it was like 16 episodes?
I don't even know if it's that many from memory, man. I remember it was like, at the time, it was only like 4 discs on DVD with like 3 episodes each. So yeah, it wasn't...
Is it going to look super aged? Like, when did it come out?
Not as bad as you think it would be. No, I mean, part of it being lo-fi makes sense to the show as well, because like it's set up in like a colonization type galaxy where like a lot of the planets are frontier worlds. So it plays a lot more like a Western than a space opera in many episodes, even though that is what it is. It's just such a great series.
Just as long as it's not grainy, that's all I care about. Like
No, I mean, there've been like pumped up versions of it, like so you can get the HD versions. It's still good.
Okay,
yeah.
all
right. We got one final PC bullshit story to cover, guys, and then that's it for this episode. It's all fun from here on out. It's just unfortunately just been one of those weeks. So, Fantastic Beasts has been delayed to 2022, partly because of Corona and partly because Johnny Depp is now no longer going to be in it. So the cliff notes of this is there has been an ongoing court case for a couple of years now between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, who were once lovers and are now not so much. She is basically trying to sue him for a lot of money, claiming that he was very abusive in her relationship. Over the course of the trial, we found out that she was very abusive and violent towards him potentially as well. Obviously, it's his side versus her side at this point. But he also had a court case going up against one of the major papers in the UK who just openly called him a wife beater on the front page. He said that was libel. There was nothing that backs that up. And he actually lost that court case this week. Not the one against Amber Heard. That's ongoing. We still don't know who wins that in the eyes of the court of law, where there's sufficient evidence that he was abusive. There's crazy shit in there. Like when they broke up, apparently, allegedly... either Amber Heard or someone that she knows took a giant shit on Johnny Depp's bed before she left, right? So stuff like that. Lord. It's a crazy story. But yeah, he put out a statement, Johnny Depp, last night that basically says, Warner Brothers has asked me to resign from the movie and I'm going to do it. So yeah, he's gone on something he's been alleged to have done that hasn't even been confirmed in a court case yet is 100% true. Now, a lot of people ask the question, well, what the fuck about her? Because she's been alleged of some pretty dark shit as well in this same court case, because he's countersuing her as well. So what about her? Does she get to still be an Aquaman too? Because that's Warner Brothers as well. What the fuck's happening? So nothing official, but there is Grace Randolph is someone I've been following a while since we decided to start doing a nerdy news pod. And to be honest, a lot of her predictions or insider info things normally turn out to be pretty accurate. So she reported about a week ago that apparently, knowing this court case was a thing, Warner Brothers deliberately shot Aquaman 2 and the next Grindelwald in a way that means they could dramatically reduce or remove Johnny Depp or Amber Heard from the cut if it went bad. So she's basically saying the studio is talking about significantly reducing her role in Aquaman 2, but not getting rid of her completely. So it's interesting that the guy is gone, but she gets to stay in the film that she's in. And we'll see what happens when that court case resolves.
Or at least as of right now.
At least as of right now. Because, I mean, let's be real here. At the moment, both of them are allegations. Okay? None of them have been finalized or recognized in a court of law. So it is interesting that they've fired one person or asked them to resign, and the other person, sounds like they're still going to be in the movie just fine. So it's an interesting case. But either way, for Harry Potter fans, if you did like the portrayal of Grindelwald by Johnny Depp, which I don't think was his strongest role personally, you are not going to see him in the continuation of that series.
Yeah, I just I can't imagine that being like a great move. Like, I feel like you have to look at like what's going to be worse for the movie. Mm-hmm. And yes, maybe they did shoot it in this particular way where, they can use like these diminished roles basically with this cut footage. But I don't know, like he's such an intricate part. Like you can get rid of Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. I feel like much easier than Grindelwald from
He's
Harry
the big
Potter.
thing.
So,
like everything's building around his character.
Exactly. And and this was like the big movie with him. Like the other one, it was still like in the process of introducing him, the second one. So like I don't understand how they're going to do that, and even if they do it, I don't know how it's going to be like done effectively to the point where it actually makes it a good movie. So I feel like now, just by doing that, it's probably going to end up being at best an okay movie, but most likely a pretty shitty movie based on like what we've already had with him being in it. I just don't know if that's the right move. I would almost rather like make it the best I can with him going full force and just take the hit that I might get from him being in it with these allegations.
Two parts to this. Number one, so to answer the part of your question, they have sent an offer out to an actor already to replace him. So they are going to continue on with the story exactly as it was. We're just going to have to pretend that that's still Johnny Depp. So they're doing that.
Not the first time.
They're doing that.
Not the first time they've done it.
It's not the first time. We've kind of been spoiled since the MCU days, right? Before that, it used to be the next James Bond, going to be a different guy. The next Batman, going to be a different guy, right? So we've now been lucky that we're getting these, continuations. But when shit like this happens, like, we sort of know what's going to happen with Chadwick Boseman. Rumor has it that they're going to be using someone that looks a hell of a lot like him to finish that movie. Doing it like, was it Paul Walker from Fast and the Furious, where they finish it off with his brother that looks a lot like him. So rumor has it they might be doing that with Black Panther. But number two, get in Warner Brothers' head. Right? Let's think about this. Next year, that movie comes out, Hebrew. What's the headline going to be? Movie protested by SJW warriors who say that they're boycotting this movie because they defend wife beaters and transphobes.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder which hit was going to be worse, being a terrible movie or it being a good movie with protests. Because, I mean, still, that's going to be a minority of the population.
Well, the script doesn't change, really. It's just going to be the act.
You also have fan chokers, right?
Well, we don't know what it's going to be yet, though. As far as like, we don't know if they're going to try to somehow like keep most of it like him being behind the scenes somehow mysteriously and not showing him very often, or if it's going to be someone that looks like him, or if he's going to be replaced. Either one, or like, I mean, either of those options, like. They don't sound great.
I will say this, that it's an easier thing to wash away in the Harry Potter universe because they can just say it was one of those transfiguration spells, and that's why he has a different face now.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Like you can explain that away pretty quickly. The main point though, that, and Hooch just raised it pretty well, is that they're standing by Ezra Miller. Like Ezra Miller, there's like footage of him choking a chick out at a nightclub. Yeah. And a couple other things as well he's been accused of. And not only are they keeping him for that, they're still moving ahead with the second Flash movie. And that's on concrete things that he definitely did versus something that Johnny Depp has been alleged to have done.
Allegations.
You know, if the court case was resolved, I think this is a much more cut and paste story. You know what I mean? But the fact that this is ongoing and they're worried about what it might look like, it's a weird choice to do it now. But I understand you have to do the allegations.
If you think about it, think of all the stuff they're getting into trouble with already, or had to defend J.K. Rowling's, right?
Yeah.
So as a result, it's just one thing after another with the Harry Potter franchise, and they're just basically, it feels like they're just trying to distance themselves from any sort of trouble whatsoever, especially with this franchise.
But at that point, they're knee deep in it.
Let's be real.
Might as well.
If people keep fucking boycotting fantasy novels and stories, we're going to end up with nothing but political fucking documentaries to watch from 2022 onwards. Like, can people fuck off, please? Honestly, like, learn to separate the artist from the art.
Yeah, and it's just, isn't this enabling with, like, I mean, innocent until proven guilty? These are allegations. Nothing's been proven.
Yeah, like, I'll be the first one to come out. If it is proven in a court of law that he beat his girlfriend, I'll be the first one to run to the front of the queue to dick punch him, right? Because that's a fucking horrible thing to do. But it's an allegation at this stage. And there's evidence that might have been, in some cases, self-defense from someone who, in a text message, admitted to hitting him. So it's like, I'm sorry, you know, what the fuck are we doing here? So yeah, it's one of those.
Isn't that victim blaming at that point? I mean, like,
apparently not, because he's a white dude. That's not how it works.
Exactly. Man. Well, it's the perpetuation of you know, like, allowing these scenarios to happen where it's guilty until proven innocent. We flipped it around, and like, by doing these, by you know, people taking jobs away from people, like, that just reinforces that behavior. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this at all.
Here's the thing that I do with my kids. If one kid punches the other kid, the first kid that did the punching gets in trouble. If the kid that gets hit retaliates, both kids get in trouble. Okay. Because they're both wrong. Yeah. So that's the kind of thing that I'm seeing here, right? So if you have a situation where maybe Amber Heard started something and Johnny Depp was defending himself or whatever, you know, it's like, okay, you're both accountable on this. You know, it depends on, like, were you defending yourself to the way where you're preventing yourself from getting hit, or did you, like, switch and go on to the attack to defend yourself? You know, those are the kind of things that need to be resolved, right? So
yeah, and just to emphasize the point, like, I just want to, like, clarify to everyone so that way they know, we're not saying that we think it went one way or the other. We're just mentioning it from all angles and all possibilities. Like, we don't know if it was, you know, if he beat the shit out of Amber or if Amber beat the shit out of him. And honestly, we don't care. It's just both sides should be protected right now because it's just allegations.
It sounds like a relationship no one would have wanted to be in. Let's be real. It sounds like both of them are probably pretty fucked up in that relationship from the evidence we've seen so far. But again, it's his story versus hers, her story versus his. No one's taking sides. As you say, it's just a fuck situation. And I apologize for the tone of this episode. It's one of those weeks where this just happened over and over and affects shit that we love at the end of the day, right? That because of real world implications and people demanding cancer culture, this is 3 different franchises that have ultimately been, well, we can't make it the way that you guys or we wanted it to because certain people took offense to things. So yeah, it's we're catering to very specific parts of society now, and I understand that we need to in some ways do it, but I'm going to go off on a rant.
I thought the James Gunn situation was going to help stop that at least a little bit.
Me too. And look, let me be real. This is the other one last political point I'm going to make for this whole thing. I think that identity politics played a big part in why the Republicans did so well in this election. Just in my mind.
I mean, unquestionably.
I think it's been a big rebuke that people have had enough of identity politics and just want substance now. Anyway, I'm not gonna. That's gonna be a big part of what I talk about in important politics because the Republicans won this election and everything but the presidential race. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of awesome, fun things to finish with on the nerdy news for this week, we all love Simon Pegg. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard
and Nick Frost.
Yeah, and Nick. Well, it's gonna be my next point, but thanks for jumping there. Yeah, Nick Frost as well. So I mean, they were obviously together in. We talked about this not that long ago. The World's End, Shaun of the Dead, and Hot Fuzz. Like any movie that these two guys are in, it's gonna be fucking rad, right? Now, I forgot all about this series, but it came out this week. The Amazon Prime series. Did you guys know about this?
I did. I watched the trailer for it. I honestly wasn't impressed by the trailer, but I'm going to watch it anyways.
Same. So I mean, I think it's going to be good because it's those two. But apparently, these two. I don't know what the story is. Apparently, they have done some like ghost hunting in their real life. I'm trying to find this story again. Yeah. Apparently, like a lot of what this show is based on is like about shit that they've encountered themselves. I was like, wait, what? What the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, it's like a show about ghost hunters, obviously with their sense of humor. So I can't wait to watch this series. I don't know how I missed it. It's on Amazon Prime right now as of October 30th. Check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was surprised because the trailer was set up to be very horror-y, whereas apparently it's going to be more comedy. And that's why I think we're going to be getting a lot of Hot Fuzz vibes. I think that they'll do the big, gross, horror-y moments to create that tension and those beats to really make those funny moments really jump out. So I'm actually quite optimistic on this one.
They have a good use of tactful undercutting.
Absolutely, they do
to things like that.
Yeah,
that's fucking great.
Accurate. All right, boys. Should we get into the gaming news of the week?
Finally,
it's all fun from here on out, ladies and gents. All right, nerd fucking Christmas is here. Forget December the 25th, ladies and gents. It is all about November 10th to 12th if you were in the US, November 19th if you live anywhere else. We are finally here for the first time in what? I think I got a PS4 when I was 30. So this is what? The first console in 6-7 years?
Yeah.
Unless you count the Switch.
Long?
Yeah.
Well, you had the refreshes or the updates for the Xbox One and then the PS4. Man. No. I'm not counting those. I'm saying that's what extended the life cycle of those consoles.
Fuck, that makes me feel old as shit, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck.
No, my wife bought me.
Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah, my wife.
You realize how many console generations I have seen?
Yeah. Yeah, he was there when they were playing Pong with rocks.
Okay. You had me at Pong, but until you got to the rocks part, I'm like, no, I was there when we were playing Pong.
I was being a dickhead as well as doing.
I know you were.
So yeah, I mean, I'm so excited. I'm so fucking pissed off that I live where I live because I have to wait a week longer than you pricks. But I'm so excited for this, man. I mean, Hebrew is definitely actually. Wait, did you order both as well, Hooch? Or are you just getting Sony, right?
No. I only got the PS5 for myself. I ordered an Xbox One. My brother gave me, because he was out on a boat at the time.
Yep.
So I ordered an Xbox One for him.
Series X, you mean? Or Xbox One?
Yeah. Sorry, Xbox Series X for him.
I was going to say, you were one of those people that got fucked on that pre-order day.
I'm not.
Accidentally ordered the old one.
Holy shit. Yeah, no.
I feel bad for all the moms and the dads that went on there unknowingly.
I know. I'm poor, ignorant people. Yeah.
My daughters jokingly call me Boomer, but I didn't mess that up.
Okay, Boomer. Have they played you that song? Okay, Boomer. Whatever you say. Have you heard that shit?
Well, yeah, no, but we have I know the term obviously, and we have a standing call where every week we FaceTime each other. Mm-hmm. And if I do something and screw it up or like tap the wrong button to try to change something or whatever, we just jokingly go, I boomered that.
Nice.
There you go, yeah.
Lean into it, man. Find that song. Okay, Boomer. I think it's like a Japanese person keeps doing these covers. It was a big TikTok trend for a while and then blew up deluxe when that who's that Ahigao chick that everyone is obsessed with?
I have no idea.
Belle Delphine. Do you know who that is?
No.
Belle Delphine.
Remember the Gamer Girl bathwater story from years ago?
I don't remember that.
Really? The chick that was selling for like hundreds of dollars or hundreds of pounds. She was selling water that she had bathed in. This is like where simps were born. They were born in the soup of her bathwater.
Yes, I remember that now.
Yeah, and like gamers bought it. Like it's become such a meme, the Gamer Girl bathwater. And this is the chick that did it. She's actually an unbelievably intelligent chick for how she has just used incels' income to just become a thingo. Yeah.
She's also a really good fucking actress, honestly.
I saw her on the H3 podcast. I've never heard her talk before. She's British and unbelievably smart. She knows what she is doing in the biggest way. She is very entrepreneurial. Fuck Kim Kardashian. This chick has really capitalized on dead ass for sure. But yeah, check out that OK Boomer song that she's from. You'll be able to find that clip real easy if you just type in Belle Delphine Boomer. Hooch?
All right.
Excellent. So you're getting both. So your Christmas comes first, Hebrew, on the 10th of December for you, right? For the Xbox?
Yeah, one for Christmas, one for Hanukkah.
When is Hanukkah? The week after Christmas?
Hey, you can't
I have
double
no
dip.
idea when it falls this year.
Right.
It unlike Christmas, it changes. And we don't actually celebrate. Ironically, we celebrate Christmas.
Okay, all right.
So I was gonna say you get 4 holidays per year. You get Christmas, Hanukkah, and then you get Nerd Christmas, Nerd Hanukkah, because that's normally Black. It's normally Black Friday for us, right? Or
Black
Cyber
Friday,
Monday,
yeah.
because that's normally when we get all the nerd shit on the deep discount. Or I will say this, unexpectedly, a very underrated Nerd Christmas is normally in March and April, where all the TVs that came out this year, or sorry, the previous year, get fucking like 50, 60% off, because the next generation has just been shown at like, what's that expo?
CES or something?
Yeah, CES, that's the one. And you get these massive discounts on really cool TVs. Like I've pivoted to only buying TVs when I get them, usually in March and April. This year was different because I wanted the Sony for the PlayStation launch. So I cannot wait, man. It's going to be so good. So let me ask the question. Start off with you, Hebrew. What is the first game you're going to play on your new console?
Miles Morales, for sure.
That is incorrect, because you're getting your Xbox first.
Oh, well, that's true, but I'm not actually. So one of them is being bought by my girlfriend.
Right.
One of them is being bought by my parents. My parents, the one that I choose to be bought from my parents, because they're basically the same price.
Right.
That one is being put away for Christmas. So I basically am choosing which one I want.
Boo.
So
why
PS4
do people
is the
do
one
that?
I
Can you
choose.
just say, you bought me this now, and I get to use it for another
They
6
like
weeks?
me to unwrap something. So that's
just say
how
you're
it
having
is.
like a
I'll
real
just-
stress mental breakdown because of the election, and you'd feel a lot better if you had an Xbox right now.
Just unwrap the box and be like, hey.
Yeah. Just fucking find the box, open it, put the old Xbox you've got now in that box. They're not going to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but then I can't play Bug Snacks on the PS4, so it's fucking done. I gotta play Bug.
I thought the free version was only PS5.
Huh?
The free version of Bug Snacks. That's right. We missed.
Did
We
I
missed
say
this.
PS4?
You said PS4, yeah.
I meant PS5, but
Yeah.
like I gotta play Bug Snacks on PS5, obviously.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, Bug Snacks coming for free this month if you get your PS5. What about you, Hooch? What are you gonna play first?
Miles Morales.
Yeah, I think I'm
hands down.
Yeah, I mean, I got to wait a week longer than you guys. So I think I'm actually going to play Valhalla on computer first, because we've got that pass anyway, Hooch, with Ubisoft. So I think, are you going to play Valhalla on the PC, or are you going to do both?
Oh, no, it'll be PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because on the console, you actually have to buy it, right? It's not part of the pass.
Well, we still can't really figure that out. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. Let's say no. Yeah, you probably have to buy it. Yeah.
That automatically means it'll be on PC. What it'll be is it'll be similar to what I'm doing now, but splitting time between Genshin and Watch Dogs. I'll push the story of Legion, push that aside, and then Miles Morales will take its place. And then as I'm progressing through that, when I don't feel like firing up the PS5, I'll play Valhalla.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go, for sure.
Yeah.
Probably very similar for me, I would say. So here's the weird thing, though, is that like for Xbox, there's not really a title, like something you go, I need to have the Xbox day one to play this game. Because all the launch titles that come out that week, they're playable elsewhere.
Yeah.
Admittedly, with Game Pass, it means you can play it there for a very, very low price. Sure.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's why I felt confident not getting an Xbox Series X, because I've got the Microsoft Game Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think that at launch, like, the one to play is going to be PlayStation, so you can get those exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, like, long term, the better bet is Xbox. Like, you're going to get more out of the Xbox for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also still have a lot of the PS exclusives and stuff. Like, are they doing an upgraded version maybe of Last of Us? I'd love to play that.
So,
I don't
not
think
as
so.
yet. So they'll obviously be upscaling in the same way that like PS4 upscaled PS3 games, but there is a limit to what that can do. In regards to like a remastering where you can go, all right, now I can play it at 120 frames. That doesn't exist yet, but we are seeing more companies starting to say they're going to do revamped versions of stuff for PS5. But in most of those cases, you better believe you're gonna have to pay for that upgrade. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, it'll be a separate purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man was the first one we know of. There's going to be a PS5 version of that. They were just announced 2 of the new costumes this week for that, but you have to own the PS5 version. Just simply owning it on PS4, it won't just transfer it across. And that kind of sucks.
Wow. Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. When you really dig into everything, we've now got all the specs. We've had a lot of the embargoes lifted. So you're seeing a lot of outlets now talking about how the Xbox runs, how the PS5 runs, the benefits of each one. Overwhelmingly, I would say at face value, from what I've read and seen so far, obviously I have no personal experience with them yet because the consoles haven't launched. If you had to talk about, boys, who won, the first round of this generation, I think it has to go to Xbox because they have Game Pass.
Oh, yeah.
They've got everything except for the exclusives, right? And in many cases, though, I don't know that that's going to matter. But I think if you own both consoles and no computer, you would spend 90% of your time on the Xbox instead of the Sony. I really do think you would because of the packages. Because of the interfaces, and then some of the features too. Like, I mean, the ability to just convert a save game from Xbox to Xbox Series X, flawless. With Sony, convoluted and complex as fuck, and in many cases it won't work. Porting a game you already own from one to the other. Xbox, automatic. Sony, there is a lot of things you have to jump through. Let's talk about the SSD. Being able to have extra SSDs will not be available day one with Sony. It is available through Xbox. Admittedly, it's fucking expensive on Xbox, but it is possible. And the reason that's relevant is one of the first things, just like iPhones, when they advertise how much storage space you actually have, one of the first things that tech guys will do when they get their hands on the console or the phone is they will test how much actual usable space there is after the OS, right? They've now done that, and the Sony is only 650. You are losing 350 gig, a third of your storage space, to OS.
Yeah, which is fucking bad.
Clunky as shit is what that is, right? Yeah. Now, also, Quick Resume was something that Xbox has really been spouting off about, saying that you can leave like multiple games on standby and jump from one to the other, to the other, to the other, like instant loading. Sony's not going to have that. They'll obviously you can keep one game suspended, but you can't have multiple. It's not that big a deal. I mean, it's not really a feature that we really knew we were missing until Xbox announced it. But it feels like in all the ways that matter, Xbox has just one-upped Sony. And in every other category, they've got the same, right? The only thing they don't have is those Sony exclusives, but that is a big and, to be fair. I mean, what's your take, boys? Who do you think won round one?
Well, on my end, for sure, like I will say another thing that people are like actually really surprised at how much they enjoyed with the PlayStation is the controller.
Okay.
The controller is apparently from, because I actually watched a lot of reviews on both of them today, since we just had a whole lot of them come in, because playtesters finally got their hands on them. Every single one has like went out of their way to talk about how amazing the PS5 controllers feel. So, and it was something that they legitimately didn't realize was that big of a deal until they started playing with it. So I'm excited to see if I feel the same or if that's just like over exaggerated whenever I get my hands on it. But that's one thing. But the other thing is definitely exclusives. Like, I mean, like we do have some exclusives, especially coming soon to Sony. So like, but at the end of the day, yeah, like, I mean, that's not enough. Like, you know, a few exclusives at the beginning and, you know, potentially what sounds like a better controller doesn't make up for the huge loss in storage, like massive loss in storage, especially and nowadays whenever, you know, storage space is even more important because we're downloading games more often now. But also, yeah, just the, you know, vast amount of games and, you know, subscription services and stuff like that come or can come with, but at least have access to with the Xbox. So I would definitely say Xbox takes it for sure.
So before I throw it to you, Hooch, for the same question, I want you to add on some stuff because you can actually help with this part. So one of the big things, you're actually right, Hebrew, one of the big things people have been saying is that when you talk about peripherals, like not just the console, but what they're releasing with it, Sony probably has an edge on peripherals. So people are saying the controller is rad. The way it interacts with specific first-party games is pretty rad. That sounds good. Fun detail about the Sony controller as well. Apparently, this is something that they really wanted to have the case. If you were to put the controller under a microscope, apparently all the little tactile things that you feel under your skin, the little bumps, is all squares, crosses, triangles, circles from the PlayStation. It's all little tiny symbols.
I'm going to check that out whenever mine
Yeah, it was reported a couple
cool.
times this week. Apparently, like, that's something they wanted to do, which seems like such an excessive amount of effort for something so... I mean, it's nerdy, so I guess that kind of commitment to nerddom I have to applaud, for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard that the controller charging station for the PS5 is worth every penny. So apparently it sits very neatly on top of the PS5, like it sits dead flat. It hides the cables underneath it, and you just dock the two of them on there and away you go. I'm actually looking at getting that as well after reading a couple of reviews on it, because it seems like it's really, really good and makes it a very neat package, depending on whether you like or don't like the aesthetics of the PS5, of course. But one of the big things that people are raving about, and we actually have someone right here that can give us some first-hand feedback, is the new Sony headset, because Hooch is wearing it, I can see right now. How's it been going? Because you've had it for, what, 10 days now?
Yeah, I've had it. I've used them quite a bit on mostly PC stuff. I haven't had a chance to. I dug in a little bit on some PS4 play, but I think overall the headphones are best when they have like a really good sound system to back it up.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. When I'm on the PS4, there's not a lot of the surround support. So I tried it with Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, right? I wanted to use two relatively new games that I think could actually take advantage of what the PS4 has for their sound and audio. So as a result, when you're in Last of Us 2, it actually has a setting for the surround sound audio, for headphones, and it does a really good job at immersing you in that sound.
That's cool.
For example, the loading screen or the main menu screen where you're sitting there on the beach with the ocean, it really does sound like the beach is all around you.
Yeah, nice.
It's nice and soothing. The only problem is it doesn't have that. I guess the sound chipper in the PS4 doesn't have that higher level of quality to get those really good clear highs. So I found myself almost to the point, like, if this is a little higher on the on the frequency, I'd have some ASMR shit going on right here, and I'd just be sleeping while listening to this.
That's good.
So,
would you recommend the purchase, given how much they are?
I think so, yeah. Because moving on to the PC stuff, if you get a good sound card going, that's when you can get that pretty good range of sound going.
Now, have you tested that on a PC? Like, have you actually linked it to yours, and does it play 3D surround like really ace on the computer as well?
No, because that is driven solely not by like the headsets themselves. That's like other audio that you have to kick out, and the headsets just translate it and then show it to you. So I did read a review on like the new Sony sound format on the PS5 and how they impact with the headphones. So I'm eagerly anticipating being able to use those when my PS5 comes in 6 days. 5 days.
Hey, I was just reading an article during the week. So obviously people that test these things like to test them very, very wide. And it is reported that with a very cheap basic adapter that's sold almost everywhere, you will be able to use the new PS5 controller with the Switch.
What?
Yeah, apparently you'll be able to use it as a Bluetooth, which I think is awesome because a lot of the controllers, the old school GameCube ones are really nice with the Switch. Like, I love the old feel of them. But as far as playing something new and slick, I would love the ability to just be able to have my PS5 controller on everything. I mean, if I can use it on my PC, my PS5, and my Switch, fuck, man, that's a selling point.
For sure.
Yeah, so. I like it. So as far as launch lineup goes, obviously the exclusives all go to PS5 here. Bug Snacks they're giving away for free as part of PlayStation Plus. I think for me to play that game, it would need to be given away pretty free. Now, Demon Souls, that remastered, rebooted version, that's looking pretty impressive to me. So I'm looking forward to playing that on PS5, actually.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry 5 is apparently getting a special edition for the PS5 that is going to have ray tracing enabled. And that was a good-looking game already, so I cannot wait to see if that's true, and more importantly, how it plays. But other than Miles Morales Spider-Man, the big one, and they released a trailer, which I linked to you guys before the show, that shows us a little bit more about that game, is Godfall, which is going to be a Sony console exclusive until probably May next year. Then apparently a PC version will come out, but it looks like Xbox will never get this game.
Yeah, I mean, I want to play Godfall actually pretty bad.
It looks good.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed. I have a feeling I'm going to play Assassin's Creed and Miles Morales, like, you know, at the same time, just keep switching off in between.
Mm-hmm.
And then right after that, I'm going to be playing Godfall, unless I like Godfall so much that I skip that one to the front of the line, which very well could happen because it actually looks very interesting.
Yeah. After that launch trailer, what was your thoughts about Godfall, Hooch?
No, it looked really good watching that trailer. Definitely gave us a little bit more about what the story is about. And I think before I had seen some videos on kind of like how you're going to go through the upgrading of your armor process and things like that. So with the weapons and armor and everything that they were showcasing in that trailer, it looks like it's just like going to be a gorgeous game, a lot of action. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. Originally, I was like, we're going to play this on the PS5 or PC. And, you know, unlike you, I haven't had a chance to purchase like a nice new TV to play on the PS5. So it's almost like it feels like I'd be undercutting it if I just play it on my, you know, my monitor right here. But it may be the only way to go for me right now. But
it's such a good point too, because I mean, I own a very high-end PC, right? But what I don't have is, because I'm still waiting on that next generation, because they don't really exist yet, is high frame rate 4K monitors. Like, you have 4K monitors, but you don't really have them with high refresh rates. So most of the better monitors out there are 1080p, but they run in like 120, right? So you're like, it looks much better than like a 4K at a lower refresh. So I've been holding off on upgrading that monitor for ages, which basically means that anything that I could play on PC or PS5, I'm probably going to go PS5 because I can play 4K 120 out of the box and not have to have any question about, can I just crank it up to ultra mode and just run? Because even though the computer can run ultra, I'm not going to get the most experience out of the monitor itself. It's a little bit like VR in the same extent, right? Like, a lot of it's just not built to run through existing headsets. So that's exciting. Now, one thing that PlayStation is getting, which may give them a little bit of an edge, I suppose, because, I mean, if you have an Xbox now, you've already got all the benefits of Game Pass. Like, there's nothing really new that you're getting, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. But the PlayStation Plus collection goes live this week, which is pretty exciting because you're about to get a bunch of free games if you signed up to PS Plus anyway. So we went through this list previously, but it's good to have Hooch here now that we go through it again for some new perspectives. So tell us if you played it and if you liked it, Hooch, and if you'd recommend other people play it, especially considering it's free. So the first one is Battlefield 1.
Didn't play it, but the Battlefield series is actually pretty good to play. Yeah.
Campaign's good, but obviously I think I'd have to assume the multiplayer servers for that are dead now. It's too long ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman: The Arkham Knight.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. Great game. Bloodborne.
Yeah. Yeah, I played a little bit of it and really enjoyed it.
Yep. If you're a Souls fan, you need to play this game. It's definitely, I think, the best Souls-like ever made. It's a really great game. Hebrew's favorite bug snacks. Obviously, none of us have played that yet. Call of Duty Black Ops 3, the Zombie Chronicles Edition.
Oh, Lord. I was a big COD fan with Modern Warfare, but then I fell off.
Yeah.
I just like it for zombies.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I have a feeling I might actually spend some time on this next one at some stage. Not for a long time because there's too much to play coming out. Is the Crash Bandicoot trilogy.
Oh.
Because it's all it should be all the remastered edition. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Okay.
I never got into it, so I'm gonna stay away from that one.
Because you're racist about Australian mammals, is what I'm hearing.
Nah, seriously.
Yep. Days Gone was a game that was uber hyped when it came out. It was kind of a mixed bag. It was that zombie game from last year.
Yeah.
Haven't played it. Detroit Become Human. I think I'll probably play when it's free.
Have you not played that yet?
No. Did you play it?
Oh yeah, I played it. Played the hell out of that game. I loved it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, actually.
Because I loved Heavy Rain and games like that, but I never got to this one because it looked like they were trying to be too overt SJW to those high notes that mattered so much in things like Heavy Rain, if that made sense. By the way they cut the trailer.
Well, they do kind of go SJW on it. It's that whole idea of, artificial intelligence. How far do we go before it becomes sentient?
Is it tokenistic or is it strong plot? That's the defining thing of whether I like it or not.
I think there are parts where the plot is pretty strong.
Okay.
But I don't know. I think it might swing that a little bit, like in the middle.
Okay.
It doesn't go super one way or another. Because there's so many different plot lines. But at the core is always, the central core is, how does society treat artificial humans?
I know there's a lot of slavery subtext in that game for sure. I've seen that for the trailers.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the sense of, would you be the good slave owner or would you be the bad one? That kind of thing.
You still have a plantation, motherfucker. It's still bad news.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah.
Jesus. All right. Fallout 4. That's multi-platform. I think everyone's played that game at this point except for Hebrew.
Pretty much.
Yep. Final Fantasy 15.
I started to play that one. It just didn't grab me. And I kind of fell off and went and did other stuff instead of 15.
It's a gorgeous
game. And so
game.
I own it already.
It's a gorgeous game. Very different combat to the previous games, of course, because it has like more of the action-y type feel. But I loved being around that world, but there's something about Final Fantasy games other than the MMO that don't grab me as much. I don't know. It's too cheesy JRPG for me. I mean, I probably didn't get to the main part. I was doing so many side quests in that game. I swear to Christ, I was like 20 hours in and like third mission of the story or something. It was crazy. God of War goes without saying. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I'm replaying that one for sure.
I already own it, and I haven't finished it. That is one of the worst things. Is I have to say I have not finished God of War.
Yeah.
Dude.
If you just play the main story in that game, I will say it's a surprisingly short game. God of War.
Oh, really?
If you don't do all the extra stuff, it's very fast.
Okay.
Yeah, play it on easy mode if you need to. If you want to just get through it quick, like the story's great.
Or what I call damn near pansy mode.
Something like that. Yeah. Hollow Knight, the Void Heart Edition. Hollow Knight was a good fun game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Infamous Second Son. I mean, I love the Infamous series. I don't know why we're not hearing about another one. They were great. I mean, anything that does that sort of like offbeat takes on superheroes or would be superheroes, I'm always on board.
Did you ever play that game? Because I love the Infamous series as well. I don't think Second Son was as good as the other ones, but did you ever play? I think it was called Prototype.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. They both came out around the same time. I love Prototype 1 and 2.
Same, dude. It was so much. I honestly don't know why we haven't seen more like it, but it was so much fun playing.
Well, here's the real question. Given how that game, you were almost Venom anyway, how the fuck do we not have a Venom game when we have a Spider-Man game?
So true, dude. So fun.
Because the mechanics for Venom are in that game. Like they very much are. All right. Yeah. And we've already got the 100%. Physics for the Spider-Man type things. You mash those two together and then get Tom Hardy to come in. Bro, because that's the thing, like in so many of these games they always have a crutch, right? They always have like a Jarvis or someone like that talking you through the missions. Imagine just having the symbiote in your head as that. That'll be so goddamn good.
Yeah, I agree.
In fact, you bringing that up just makes me even more angry that we don't have that game right now. All right. The Last Guardian. I still haven't played it, but everyone tells me it's one of the games of the generation.
So do you have to go back to the beginning? Because that's actually the third game, right?
The Last Guardian?
Or is it the second one? Or am I thinking of a totally different franchise? I thought it was part of the whole Ico.
I don't know. I thought it was standalone, but again, like I haven't touched it. It might be. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yes. No. Yeah, I know. Okay. Last Guardian. Yes.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I did have it confused with another game. But The Last Guardian, that was the one with the big furry thing.
That's right. And you'd alternate between your character and the giant furry thing to solve puzzles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was frustrating for sometimes to try to control the big furry thing.
Apparently they patched that out, right? I heard it at the start. It was very bad, but I think they fixed that. So that's why sometimes waiting is pretty good. The Last of Us, I mean, you have to play that game. The second one, look, if you enjoy the first one, play the second one. But I think it's the Firefly of the PlayStation generation for me. You got to play this game to be able to call yourself a nerd.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, do what I did: play Last of Us 1, and then jump right into Last of Us 2, like the minute you finish.
Yeah,
and enjoy that
there
ride.
You go. Yeah,
absolutely. Monster Hunter World is, I have to admit, something that I probably didn't give the time that I should have. Because there's something about that style of JRPG when it first came out I really didn't like. Because it doesn't do a good job of teaching you how to play that game. It's kind of like what I talked about last week with anime, Hebrew, that it feels like you need instruction manual just to watch the show, right?
So for me, like, as opposed to considering I watch so much anime, I had the same problem though, ironically, with Monster Hunter. I got it and I thought I was going to be really into it, but I felt like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing after like 2 hours of playing still.
Same.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like games with a high skill ceiling. Do not get me wrong. But I kind of need the game to teach me how to get to that point first. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to watch guides on YouTube to figure out the basic combat beats. Like, I mean, I've heard things have changed. I've heard they've done a lot more signposting for missions and vendors and given you a better tutorial of this is the shit you should do every day. And look, and the expansions for that game have looked really impressive. I will say that graphically it was a stunning game when it came out. It looks like it holds up pretty well there because it's not that old really. But yeah, it looks really good. I don't know if it's generation defining, but it's certainly a very good game. Mortal Kombat X was definitely a very strong outing for the Mortal Kombat series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, jumping back to Monster Hunter real quick, I played the shit out of that when it came out.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I agree. There was a lot of stuff in there that they didn't quite teach you on how to do things. So like if you wanted to get one of the more complicated weapons going, like the Charge Blade, for example.
Yeah.
There was so much into that they didn't explain how to activate and stuff. So yeah, I could see how the cost of entry or whatever was pretty high. That would definitely lead to some frustration, further on when you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm not being successful at this.
Yeah. I mean, even all the different things though, like, I mean, it seemed like so much of it was around, and a lot of JRPGs do this, to be fair, is the consumables. Like, it seems like there was consumable buffs that you had to first gather materials, then craft, but it seemed like you had to do that all the time or you could barely function. And food is just at the essence of all these Japanese RPGs. That like food is everything. Food is God, food is life, food is buffs, food is heals, it's everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Persona 5. Did you ever play this as an anime fan, Hebrew?
Yes, I did, and it's fucking great.
Yeah, everyone said, but even if you're not an anime fan, people tell me that Persona 5 is just one of those games. The whole series really is just one of those.
I mean, I was about to say the Persona series in general is fucking great. So
I think I'll play it. I might play it on PS5. I'll branch out from my comfort and give it a go.
Yeah, it was one of those things a lot of people talked about and said it was really good, but I never actually had a chance to play it.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank.
Wait,
never played it.
Which one?
Looks like the first one for the PlayStation series.
Oh, okay.
Probably the reboot they did for the PS4, I imagine.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. I really do have to go back and play that in VR and just force myself to get through it. Bruh. Yeah, I've got the PSVR specifically for this reason. For that and Iron Man was the main reason I wanted it. So, yeah, I'll do that some stage. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. Definitely play that game. And Until Dawn, which is another good game. So, yeah, all those are coming to your PlayStation Plus collection very, very soon.
Hooray.
Exciting. Nice. And then so many games. It seems like everyone's debating on whether they're doing a spec'd up version. And then, of course, are they charging for that spec'd up version? It looks like our mates at Square Enix are still debating charging more money for the PS5 version of Avengers, Hebrew, which I knew would catch your ire.
Ugh.
They should pay us money to play it.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
But even things like Control, I would love to play the spec'd up version, but I'm not buying that game again.
Can I ask what your take on, I know this is diverging slightly, but, has anything changed recently on Avengers?
They keep announcing shit they're gonna do, but until I see it, I mean, they really need to overhaul the whole loot system to get me back. That's the problem. I mean, I'm gonna go back and play the stories every time they're released. So when Hawkeye releases, which has been delayed till December now, which is a real kick in the nuts for them.
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye, yeah. What did I say?
No, I said hot guy.
Oh, right. Yeah, yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, technically hot chick first, because it's Kate first, yeah.
Yep.
So I'll go back and play the story, but I mean, I'll go back, consume that 1 hour of content and disappear again, because they haven't redefined the loot system. And until they do that, they're saying that for the new game mode, they're going to have a different loot table. But if it operates on the same randomized nature that this one does, where it can be too random that it can fuck you, that you can basically end up with the loot equivalent of a pedophile nurse, to throw back to the start of the episode, it's not good. The whole base mechanics of that game are fucked, and it's not repetitive in a fun way. So I can't recommend anyone buy that game until they redo that. Then hopefully they don't wait 2 years like Anthem did, or a year and a half. So we will see. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's gonna be in some ways a pretty soft opener to the next generation, but for me, I'm going to use an opportunity to go all those high-end, really graphically impressive games that I didn't get to in the back end of 2020 or even early 2020. I think I'm just going to go through those one by one on PS5, but Miles Morales first, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the best bet.
Yeah.
It's looking good. And then, of course, Immortals is coming out on December 3rd, but I'm probably going to play that on PC, again, because that's where my Ubisoft subscription is.
Yeah, if you have it, there's no point in playing it in anything other than computer.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into some other quick gaming news, and then we'll get into the end of the show. So Fortnite and it being removed from mobile phones has upset a lot of TikTok millennials. And obviously everyone's saying it's not coming back. It's been removed from all these stores, blah, blah, blah. But it looks like it may be able to come back in a very different way. So NVIDIA tried to launch a streaming service a while back in the vein of Stadia. Didn't really go that great, but the idea was, relatively sound. So it looks like they're still expanding that platform, and it looks like they have Safari functionality. So theoretically, you might be able to play anything that you could do via a browser stream with games like Fortnite through your phone using the NVIDIA streaming service. So it looks like they may pair up with some phone manufacturers to try and create some exclusivity around Fortnite. So that'll be interesting to see for anyone that plays that game or cares.
Yeah, not bad to try, I guess.
Yeah. Now, Ubisoft had a couple of delays as well. Far Cry 6 has now had its date pushed back to later on in 2021. Rainbow Six has now been pushed back as well. And a game that I didn't even know was in fucking development was a massive Avatar game, as in the blue people that tentacle each other, was supposed to come out this year with the first of the new movie trilogy. Now, that's been delayed till December 2022 for the next of James Cameron's Avengers, Jesus Christ, Avatar. That looks like that's when that game's been pushed back to as well. So, yeah, the studio Massive Games, there's actually quite a few interviews on it last year where they were talking about that game that I soaked up this week. But, it'd be interesting to see what that game is. I'm guessing like single-player RPG type experience. You could do a God of War-ish type game in that universe, and I think do pretty well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think having two different characters would make a lot of sense. One human character who thinks he's the good guy, and one of the Blue Man group that thinks they're the good guy. I think that'd be really interesting to do those two perspectives. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. There's some interesting things that they could do there. I was never a huge fan of the first movie, granted, but it seems like it would make for an interesting game.
Oh, absolutely.
How did you see the first movie the first time you saw it?
Cinemas.
How did I see
3D?
It? I think I saw. Honestly, I don't really remember now, but I think I saw it in IMAX.
Okay, in 3D and stuff. Okay, just checking if you were actually in the theater, because for me, watching that movie the first time, just so gorgeous. The 3D was amazing, but the story was not very good.
Typically I hate 3D movies. Just because I feel like constantly it's underutilized. You have one, without a doubt, at the very beginning of the movie in 3D movies, you have one or two effects that pop out. After that, it never happens again until the end of the movie. And the whole time I'm wearing these annoying fucking sunglasses.
Yeah. Well, Avatar didn't have that because Avatar throughout every time they entered into a new area, it was like, oh my god,
it was built into. I still remember from watching that in the movie the experience of I remember when the tree was burning, and I remember that the ash was falling down in the foreground across your vision. Mm-hmm. That one scene, I was like, this is a thing. This is going to be around for a while. Like, this is incredible. Like the immersion on that movie, because it was built for it. Like everything was built around that technology. And James Cameron redefined yet another generation of cinema for good or bad because of it. So, yeah, I still remember that very vividly.
It hasn't been utilized properly since.
Well, no.
There's a few movies. I think the person that fucked with it the most for both good and bad was definitely Michael Bay. Michael Bay, I think, saw that technology and went, bruh, I'm in.
It's made for me.
Yeah, I'm going to make some terrible movies using this technology.
I mean, that's what he is. He's all visual, no substance.
Oh, yeah. He loves the telephoto lens and just sweeping low when people come out of the superhero pose, for sure. That's his shot. Yeah, and then just blowing shit up. And then going through a skyscraper. There's always some, like, running through. Yeah, Snyder's always got someone using something as a surfboard. And Michael Bay is always like running through a skyscraper that's getting fucked up. Yeah.
So I remember how much praise he got for Independence Day, where he was like, you blew up the White House. And he was like, yes, I blew up the White House. It had never been done before. Yeah. And now we just realized that was just kind of his MO, taking landmarks and blowing them the fuck up.
Well, Independence Day was a good movie, though. That's different. Like, I mean, there was more than just the visual effects. Obviously, the visual effects were great for a movie of its time. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it was still a much better movie. I mean, if you want to prove that, just look at the sequel to Independence Day, which was garbage.
Well, I mean, you had Bill Pullman's speech.
Yeah, exactly. Today we celebrate. And, yeah, and arguably, the birth of the modern version of Will Smith. That cool swag version rather than the Fresh Prince goofy version. Yes. Yeah, that was definitely what that movie was missing with the sequel, for sure.
No, the swag or both. Like,
I mean, he was smart to turn down that role. Maybe not actually, because he hasn't done a good role in a while.
Yeah, so. When you know he's turning it down, it's like something's gone wrong here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Although, I mean, I've shit on it before, but like when Will Smith was being Will Smith playing the genie in Aladdin, it was really good.
Oh,
I actually forgot about that. I actually agree. Like I thought he did a pretty good job. Like the problem is that like no one can hold a candle to Robin Williams.
So
I
why try?
Did, like his own thing with it.
We've had this debate before, and I'm going to say the same thing I said last time. You watch Will Smith on late night TV, especially the Graham Norton show. If you made that guy exactly like that, the genie, I would have loved it, right? Not as much as obviously Robin Williams, but the version that he did, I'm still going to say so much of it was phoned in and toned down. Like it wasn't authentic at all. Yeah.
He had small moments of it where it was like, okay, there's the Will Smith that we see come through, and those are the really funny parts. Those are the really good parts for that character. But it's like whenever he tried to get too close to what Robin Williams did. And then, of course, the biggest travesty for me was the fact that they played the wrong version of Friend Like Me in the actual movie. Yeah. The one they played at the end credits
was much better.
That should have been in the movie.
I agree. That was one that he released as a separate track. But that should have been the one because it completely changed it. It wasn't him trying to be Robin Williams. If you're going to go and put Will Smith in that movie, do it. Let him Wild West it. You know, the Wild Wild West. Let him do that. You know.
I think. Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say. I think the thing I disliked about that the most was honestly, as far as songs are concerned, I did not like the
new one.
I'm Not Gonna Be Silent song that they put in. Yeah. Only because like it's not that it was a bad idea to do something like that. It felt so fucking heavy-handed. And
you might as well just call that song tokenistic. Like just written, just basically, this is an obligatory box we need to tick.
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, what's that test? What's that test we've talked about in the past? That there's a feminist test for every movie.
I forgot the name. We always forget the name of it whenever we talk about it. but yeah, it's a thing. I'm gonna have to search it.
Bechdel test. Bechdel test.
Bechdel test.
Or Bechdel-Wallace test, apparently, is a measure of representation of women in fiction. Yeah. So I think they needed that scene to pass it.
Yeah, it's when women talk to other women without talking about
men. Yeah. So interesting. All right, very good. That is one piece. This is more of a, I guess, a milestone chat. Really, I think this number could be much bigger. I think they've gotten there in their own way from like production ability. Is the Switch has just hit 69 million sales as of this week.
Oh wow!
Yep, which makes it the second most successful Nintendo console of all time. So it's now surpassed the original NES, which apparently was having that title previously, which surprised me a lot. I would have thought the 64 or even the Super Nintendo would have dominated those numbers. Certainly not the Cube. That was a bit more specific. But the Wii is still number one for its number one selling console of all time, which was 101 million for the whole life cycle.
Yeah. Don't forget, though, when the original NES came out, there wasn't much competition.
That's it. That was the system.
Yes, it was. It was. And even when Sega had the Master System at the same time, it didn't have that same level of popularity that the NES did.
Oh, when people were colloquially talking about video games back then, like they'd refer to, like, you know, do you want to go play Nintendo? That meant, do you want to go play video games? It didn't mean Nintendo, the console. It was that genre defining, that the brand was the activity. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So
I don't even know the systems that you guys are talking about.
Oh, Jesus.
The Nintendo Entertainment System. Let me ask you this, Hebrew. Have you, if I do this, do you know what it means?
Yes, because I did play N64.
All right,
I did play N64. Yeah.
You forgot the part where you have to like just barely push the cart in and then click it down so just it catches. Yeah.
Which I think more adults should have used that for a sex education test back in the day. It's just like jamming it in hard is not the right approach, lads. You need to gently ease it in. Sometimes blow on it and try again.
Blow on it first. you got to blow on it first. Gently slide it in.
Yeah.
And then just push it down just a tad. Just so it catches.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a little.
Well, that could get bad though, because some of what like you did, if it really wasn't working, was you tried hitting the system a little bit, banging on the system a bit.
Yeah, until it calls you daddy.
Yeah.
Is that not how it works? I mean, I had a very different Nintendo experience apparently.
I gotta admit though, the OG, the NES Advantage, remember that controller?
I do.
That joystick, that thing could survive a nuclear attack.
Mate, the original Atari sticks were pretty durable as well. Like it had that like high density rubber over the top of it too, and those buttons were indestructible. Like it was old arcadey style red buttons on those.
Yeah,
for sure. What a generation. We should do a nostalgia episode when like the news actually calms down at some stage, because it's been hectic to try and squeeze it in. Yeah.
If you want to do a nostalgia episode, just call me. I'll be there.
Well, we have to, because you were there. You were there back then.
Yeah, about to
I
say,
lived
like,
through
it. The only other one.
You were there from like when they first had electricity running through that kite right through to Pong. So,
Yep, exactly. I was telling Edison, dude, no, telling Franklin, don't do it, man. That kite, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, who were you shipping back then? Were you Team Tesla or Team Edison?
Oh, I was Team Tesla. Edison's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I didn't see this in the notes earlier, but apparently there is a Hebrews mobile corner this week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been super dry for the past like month and a half for mobile games.
I think everyone saw Genshin and just went, let's delay that release.
I really think that was the case, because it was all like, I mean, you see paid games come out like every day, but you know, there's no point in testing out those because they're a dime a dozen and they're rarely worth it. But yeah, as far as like free games that are actually, you know, like somewhat substantial, you know, there's two that came out. So the first one is, let me roll back over to it. Yeah. Shadow Fight Arena. So this one's basically, it's just like Mortal Kombat. I don't know how Mortal Kombat escaped my mind. We talked about it earlier.
Okay.
But it's just like Mortal Kombat. It's good. The graphics are just fine. If anyone's played Mortal Kombat on mobile, like they have their own mobile version, it's very much like that as far as control.
Oh, is it like Contest of Champions?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah. It's the scheme is slightly different.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat was different than that, but yeah, like if you liked that, you'll probably like this as well.
This game, I'm looking at the thing as now. I had no idea what this was until like 2 seconds ago. It looks visually stunning for a mobile game.
Yeah, exactly. Like it has good quality graphics. Especially like there is a graphics setting whenever you go in there, so you want to check to make sure that's on the right one depending on your phone. But yeah, it looks good. It's fun to play. I haven't dived into it too much yet, but yeah, it looks like definitely a solid entry. You know, that's visually, as Chu just said, at least good to look at. Like, so that's one. And then the next one is Fruit Ninja 2. I had to put this in. I usually don't include like more like kind of super simplistic, pointless games, but Fruit Ninja is like one of the all-time classic games. So yeah, they just came out with Fruit Ninja 2. It's mostly the same. It's just like slightly revamped, more options to do things, especially like play corners and stuff like that. More game modes, interactivity, customization, that kind of stuff. But yeah, same gameplay for the most part. It's still a fun game, like a time waster, that kind of thing. If you're looking for just like, I don't want to say brain dead gameplay, but something that's just very easy that you can kind of zone out on and play at the same time. This can definitely do it, or like, challenge your friends at and stuff like that. So, give them a shot. They're both free, obviously. And if you like either of those types of play or genres, give it a go.
Cool. So just to build on that, Shadow Fight Arena, it looks like it's going to have next year a PC and console release as well. So that's interesting. So obviously it must be a franchise.
Genshin's setting it straight for all the mobile games coming.
I mean, this was bound to happen, right? I mean, they're basically consoles. I mean, they're more expensive than consoles in your pocket these days with iPhone 12s and stuff like that. Like, they're so expensive that it makes sense. Yeah. And let's be real here. Like, this world's blending more and more with these streaming services. Because if you can just stream directly to your mobile phone and play Halo or whatever it is that's going on at the moment, like, that line is going to disappear. Like, mobile-only games, I think, are going to die eventually. It's going to be about this.
Yeah, I will say, I am curious to see, I would imagine they cannot have cross-play on Shadow Fight Arena, like a fighting game like Shadow Fight Arena, mobile versus computer.
Oh, you would wreck shit more on a console, I'd imagine.
Exactly. Well, also, I mean, maybe the other way around too, because a lot of things could be macroed.
Well, remember that there is controllers for mobile now. So, yes. I mean, that...
There is, but this isn't meant... I mean, not that it's not meant to, but like the default though
is the left, the right, the block, the hold. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So some things are simplified and some things are harder on mobile versus computer. So like but there's definitely going to be clear advantages there. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they do for that.
Cool.
So
I might check that one out at some stage. It looks really good, and I mean, I actually quite enjoyed Contest of Champions and Injustice on mobile as well. So it's in that sort of vein. Yeah. If it's got a good story or combat, I might give it a go.
Yeah.
Now, Kinect. Did you guys ever mess around with Microsoft Kinect at all?
Yeah, back in the day I had one, like for the original 360.
It was predominantly dog shit, but let me tell you, one game where it was fucking amazing was Fruit Ninja.
Yeah.
Did you ever play it on Kinect, Hebrew?
I didn't, but I currently have it for like actual VR. And it was fun.
Now, so VR is a different animal, but incredible, right? If you want to see some truly funny shit, look at old YouTube videos of people playing, like where the camera was on them, not the game, of Kinect, because you had to use your own hands and stuff, and the animations were all like chop really, really fast. It was hilarious watching people do it, especially at the end of a mission where you had to cut something like 1,000 times with your two hands. Hilarious. But I will say that Fruit Ninja in VR is awesome. Have you played it there yet?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I played the shit out of it actually on VR.
Nice.
That was my first VR game. Was Fruit Ninja.
Yeah.
So
And the next game I need to play is Half-Life Alyx, as we've discussed many times.
Yeah. There was another one that was about to come out or is coming out.
There's a Star Wars one specifically for Oculus Quest, which you can play, and you have to tell us how it is, because I don't have a Quest, and with that Facebook shit, I'm definitely not buying one.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I have like a separate bullshit Facebook account that I made for it a long time ago. So
I'm with you. Cool. All right, now I'm not doing a what's coming out in the next week or sales and pass updates this week because it's just going to be a massive slew of things that have already been covered within the show anyway. So yeah, make sure you check that out. In pretty much any of the console releases coming out this week. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla is obviously the biggest game coming out this week, as well as Spider-Man Miles Morales, which you can call Spiles for now on if you want. It does sound like some sort of hemorrhoidal condition, I will say.
Oh, Spiles.
Yeah, okay, a bad case of Spiles. That's actually why Piker's not on the show this week, guys. He's got a bad case of Spiles. Yeah.
Saw the doc said had Spiles.
Let's go, best Spiles. Yeah, push too hard, got them Spiles. All right, let's have a couple of quick questions from the Patreon. Let's start off with Judas95. He says, this Halloween, me and my friends dressed up in costumes and chatted over Discord while having a few drinks. I put on a wig and some slutty clothes, so of course my mates asked what my drag name would be. So my question for you guys is, what's your drag name? First of all, I love the first half of that question because, like, that's Nerds 101. Like, I love when, like, you know, Corona's got in the way. How can we hang out and still celebrate Halloween as a bunch of nerds? Let's just cam on, get pissed, and dress in costume. Love it. Mucho respect, Judas. Drag name. What would your drag name be, boys?
I need a second to think on that one. Hooch?
See, I don't know, but I do know that. So I'm one of those guys that plays predominantly female characters in RPG games. Mm-hmm. So I do have a naming convention that I use, and the one character's name that I use the most is Dalara.
Dalara?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there an origin for that name, or just something you came up with once and you liked?
It's just something I came up with once in my life when playing Final Fantasy 11.
Right.
Yeah, and it was just a character name. I don't know how I came up with it, but that's how I came up with it, and I've just used it ever since.
See, I can't help but go for like traditional sort of like really cheesy like Bond names, like Pussy Galore or Dixie.
That's what I was
Dixie
going
Normus. I wonder if there's a thing for this. So excuse the typing in the background. I have to have one moment per episode. How to work out your drag name. There's always like one of those things where it's like your first street you lived in. So let's do a random. There's one here that's just like a random thingo for you.
Well, first off, let me tell you what like came to my head for one, I guess, because I went to like Bond names as well.
Okay.
So mine would be, because I wanted something butch for the first name, so Helga.
Okay.
And then I went for like Bond type naming, so I went Pussy Glow.
Right.
So Helga Pussy Glow would be my drag name.
That's pretty funny.
Well, let's see what the computer says.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to like one of these random thingo generators where you just basically push a button and it randomly generates a thing. So here we go. Here's the one from RuPaul's Drag Race, apparently. So you take the month you were born.
Okay.
Okay. So what months were you born? Hebrew. We'll do Hebrew first. What month were you born?
November.
Right. Okay, so you're Madam. What's the first initial of your first name? It's M.
Yeah.
So you're Ophelia. And what is the first letter of your last name?
W.
W. Okay, so Delight. So you would be Madam Ophelia Delight, according to this one.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's pretty good.
What have you got, Hooch? What's your birth month?
Mine are all terrible. Birth month is April.
April, you would be Dame. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
First letter
is D.
B. No, D. You are, aren't you?
No, D. Yeah, D.
Sequence. Okay. Should this be sequence? It says sequence. Okay. And then first letter of your last name?
J.
J is Vision. So you are Dame Sequence Vision. That sounds like an error on a computer. Is what that sounds like. Yeah.
They never turn out well for me for these things.
Yeah. So mine is February. So I'm Mrs. So I'm married. That's good to know. Yeah. And then
you found
Chris.
love.
So Orgasma. Loving this already. And then so I'm Mrs. Orgasma Kmart.
Kmart?
Yeah, Kmart. It's actually Kmart.
Wow.
Is the last thing there. Well, you're Delight. Okay. So you've got a hyphenated thing as well. So Mrs. Orgasma Kmart, apparently. You're Ophelia Delight, I think.
Madam Ophelia Delight.
Yeah, I'm Mrs. Orgasma Kmart. And what were you, Hooch? You were Dame Sequence Vision. Yeah. I think you lose this game, Hooch.
I do.
Yeah.
Because much like Hebrew would say, anything related to vision sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
now this is your question.
This could be a buddy cop, like a drag buddy cop movie. I feel like.
It could be.
They did that already. It was called Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
There's been a lot of these movies that they've done like that. Yeah. What was one with Swayze in it?
That was Tu Wong Fu.
That was Tu Wong Fu?
Yes.
What was the more famous drag movie that they did in the 80s? Was it him or was it Hoffman?
Queen of the Desert?
No, I know that one. Or was it Dustin Hoffman? Was it Hoffman or Swayze?
No. Are you thinking of Tootsie?
Yes, that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Now, this is your question, Hooch. Do you want to ask it?
Do I want to ask it?
It's your question. You put it in here.
Go ahead. You can fire it off.
All right. So the Hooch asks, this is obviously a generational thing, but were your families on board with your gaming or nerd habits when you were younger? I would have said, but growing up, but let's face it, none of us wants to grow up. Accurate.
So true.
What about you, Hebrew? Your parents on board?
So yes and no. Like my dad, like whenever I was growing up, my dad would always like we would wake up on Saturday mornings early and we would play like a video game on the computer.
Yep.
So like that was definitely like he was definitely on board with playing video games, but I would say whenever I got to my like Diablo 2 LOD phase, like I don't think that they supported as how much time I was pumping into video games.
Yeah.
Because I was on that game like every waking fucking hour. So yeah, but I think they like loosened up a bit whenever they, you know, realized that like I could still function as a person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
What about you, Hooch?
So for me, it was kind of like a mixed bag. My parents were divorced when I was younger, but when I was living with my mom, there wasn't much video games being played, but I was usually inside doing something nerdy, reading some nerdy book or something like that. And my mom was always like, "Go outside and play. You know, quit doing that nerd stuff." And then I wound up, you know, with a career in the video game industry.
Yeah.
So, you know, I never felt though it was like,
so fuck you, Mom.
Exactly.
How you like me now?
Funny enough, my mom used to joke that, you know, she told me always to stop doing the nerdy stuff. I wound up in video games. She told my brother to stop, you know, playing football all the time. He wound up in the NFL. So
damn.
You know, yeah.
Shit,
she's like, I'm a terrible guidance counselor. I can't tell my kids what to do because every time I do
it's like an old school parenting of like I challenged them by telling them they couldn't do something to piss them off into doing it. So your mom's actually a genius, is how it's parenting.
Yeah, exactly. She's second layered Inception, dude.
Yeah, she's given like she's out there charging big bucks for like Tony Robbins motivational like advice right now.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, my dad though, on the other hand, was like inadvertently supported it by buying us an NES a long time ago, and Atari 2600 before that. But like, you know, he and I would play games a lot. Like he'd call me on the way when he was leaving work. He's like, "I'm heading to work. Let's play some fire up some Fat Boy," which meant he wanted to play Nintendo Golf, which had Mario as the main character.
That's right.
But yeah. So he loved actually playing video games himself. So he and I bonded a lot doing that. So
yeah, right. I was kind of the opposite, unfortunately. My parents didn't like it, didn't understand it. Like definitely like the standard quotations of like, you know, why are you wasting your time with that shit? My dad, kind of a similar story to what you were talking about. He was a professional football player in Australia. He played Australian rules football. So a lot of people, because I was actually naturally athletic, you wouldn't know this by looking at me now, but if I actually was training, I am a reasonable athlete, right? I've got for speed anyway, not endurance, but like fast sprint-based sports, I was pretty good. So there was a lot of expectation that I would follow in his footsteps, which I had zero interest in doing. Right? I did not want to play AFL football because I used to say that was, with tiny short shorts, which, you know, identify that game and lots of man cuddles. I mean, it was not appealing to me at the time. So yeah, and I love reading fantasy novels and that sort of stuff, which again, they weren't really into. Like I was definitely the odd child of that family. Like I was into all this shit that no one in my surrounding family was into. And as a result, like I don't really have that much in common with them now, because not only were they not into what I was doing, but not supportive of it, that, you know, because there was no interest shown, you know, realistically, they didn't really, you know, find anything to talk about it. Like even now, when we've gone home and people are like, "What do you do in your spare time?" Like in front of my folks, so we're like, "Oh, you know, play games, and you know, I got these podcasts to do with some of my nerdy friends." Like, you know, not even like would have gone near listening to an episode. Like that's literally how less they could give a shit about this sphere of my life or personality. So it is one of those things that, I think because like Dad was always off with football, it was always natural that I found this. And growing up with two sisters as well in a country town, it was like, do you want to do what the girls want to do? Nope. All right, you're on your own, son. It was like, all right, the choices are go and blow shit up. And I did do a lot of that, don't get me wrong. But eventually you run out of stuff to burn / blow up. So yeah, video games is kind of the natural next step. So yeah, I'd say it was very much, it was traditional. The way that video games were painted back then is exactly how my parents treated me for gaming, for sure.
So it's nice to know you went from blowing shit up literally to blowing shit up virtually.
I mean, that was synergistic. I mean, there were certainly ideas that I got from cinema and gaming on, like, you know, how to do things. Like, I mean, like duct tape, we didn't really think about. Like, when we were strapping cans of butane together and, like, taking it literally, like, if you describe a lot of stuff that we did as children, you'd basically say we were feral, right? We would go into what you guys would call basically the sewers, but they're not as gross as that in Australia, but underground tunnels. We would go down there and, like, blow up eels and shit. Like, we would literally, we created a fireball once that scared us under the town. Like, there was a shake from something we blew up. Like, I'm not even kidding. We strapped a lot of shit together that you should not strap together, and then set a fuse, and we ran out of the tunnel. And we were probably 40 meters away, and the flames reached us. We were like, that was probably excessive. And smoke and shit came out of the drains. So, like, yeah, cops came looking for us. So, yeah, I mean, I could tell you 1,000 stories about shit that we blew up. Never people's property. We never did that. And we never did anything that would harm another human being. But, yeah, we blew up a lot of stuff and a few Australian pests along the way. There's definitely a few cane toads that are no longer on planet Earth thanks to us. Yeah, that's for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's how it is. Insight into old Chew. Okay, next question, and the last one we'll take this week. Honeycomb says, with everything going on at the moment, which president of the United States or a prime minister in the case of Australia do you think like you look the most like? I feel like this game is slightly biased against you, Hooch.
No, what are you talking about? I am, according to...
I meant Trump. I mean, you look significantly like Donald Trump. Is what I'm getting at.
Oh, yes, exactly. I am a Trumper through and through. That is what I look like.
Well, now you've got potentially two choices, right? I mean, if you count the fact that Kamala will be VP, you've got, you know.
Well, that could be my drag name, Kamala.
Yeah, there you go. Man, tell me there's not going to be a bunch of name plays on that. Hamala Karis or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, you're right. The slightly biased question. I usually only have one answer. But even then, like I couldn't even think of another president where I'd even have like a similar facial like shape or anything like that, and we couldn't even throw skin tone to the side. It would have to be, you know, arguably with the best president we've had so far, Obama.
There it is. All right, what about you, Hebrew?
Good enough. I'm looking through pictures right now because, like, I'm like, oh, fuck, I have no idea.
This folks is privilege at its core right there.
I have so many options.
So many other
I have
options
so much
to him.
representation. It's tough to decide which one to go with. Yeah.
Yes.
It's pretty funny.
I want to say so that I'm on this one site where it has a young and an old picture of each president.
Okay.
And I want to say
send the link and I'll have a look for me as well.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me go back and find it.
Yeah, because Australians, like, I mean, past your own existing generation, like, prime ministers aren't as part of the fabric of our nation the same way it is for you guys. Like, presidents are these massively revered, you know, whatevers. In Australia, it's just like, that wanker, you know?
Yeah.
We don't really have them up on a high pedestal. In fact, usually it's the other way around. Normally we shit on them every opportunity we can get.
I'm about to send you the link now.
Yeah, I'd have to say, unfortunately, at the moment, I'll probably have the body type of Donald Trump.
No.
I'm assuming it'd be an older president in my case for you guys. It'd have to be someone with facial hair. I don't know if you guys had anyone in that vein. I'm assuming some of your OG presidents would have some pretty rockin' beard styles, wouldn't they? I don't know. They're all looking like balding white dudes at the moment.
Who was the last president that had a beard?
Maybe Abe.
Nah, there had to have been somebody.
Ulysses S. Grant. Oh no, Rutherford Hayes had a pretty good beard. Garfield is probably I'd say Rutherford Hayes looks the closest at the moment. They're all pretty clean cut after that. Just having a quick look. Do you know what? When I'm chubbier rather than fat like I am now, I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, older Nixon wouldn't be far off my facial structure. Other than
for me, I want to say, do you see like William Taft, like a young William Taft?
Okay.
I feel like I kind of somewhere between a young William Taft and a young Garfield. Oddly enough.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the best I got from the younger pictures. I look far from the older ones.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'd probably say Rutherford Hayes is probably hairstyle and beard, definitely. Like when I do my hair properly, that's basically my hair and beard structure, right? Rutherford Hayes, hands down. Other than that, yeah, it's probably going to have to be him with the most similarities. Rutherford Hayes, if anyone knows who the fuck that is. The 19th president of the United States.
Nobody knows who that is.
Fun stuff.
Good to know.
All right, any last thoughts before we shut this bitch down, boys?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for another week, folks. So if you have enjoyed what you've heard today, and make sure you share this show with your friends. Make sure you hit the Discord, discord.me/ANR, and make sure you tell us about any shows that we may have missed from the era of YouTube fan-made stuff. Let us know your thoughts about the console so you can make me jealous of the fact that you fucks are playing it 1 week before I am. Make sure you head on over to the Patreon if you want to help support us financially. Patreon.com/ANR pod. And also, if you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts, head on over and leave us a review. Better if we can get 5 stars if you think we deserve it. And if you do leave us a comment on that 5-star review, we will definitely read it out on air next week. I'll do a quick shout out to the Patreons in a sec. But before I do, thank you very much to Da Hooch. Thanks for coming back and saving our butts again, my friend.
Not a problem, man. Anytime you send up the flare, I'll be here.
Boom. The bat signal is how it should be. The hooch signal. We need to design a hooch signal is what we need to do. think about a logo for that next week. That can definitely be a meme. And
I wonder. Yeah. I was gonna say, I wonder if we can animate something where at the start of the show it just like shows a spotlight, with the hooch symbol going on his screen, illuminating like the specific parts.
And then I'll do the Batman theme as Peter Griffin, where it's just like. All right, thanks as always to Hebrew Hammer.
Yeah.
But the big thank you, of course, goes to our patrons, the people that are supporting us, and obviously to those people that were supporting us from the existing podcast that followed us for a while but have left us now. Thanks for helping us in that transition period. Sorry the show wasn't for you, but we still appreciate everything you guys have done for us. But to our patrons, our supporter tier, so to Ox5, Batbutt, to Connor L, Captain Jeepers, Goat, LSC Avenger, Sylv J, Commander Corsi, Lunchbox, and Alan K. Thank you to you guys. To the fanboys, to Mad Dog, Dudrek, Commander Hansen, Unhinged, Flexipotamus, Matt Bloody, Simon L, Incorrect User, Rockstar, Corey F, Dan, or Nolan, I should say, Snorlux Hunter, TT Marco, JJ Orbits, Curtis the Greek, Swain Hammer, Jamie, X23, Debearded Viking, Darth Longstride, Metalhead, Run and Gun, Dracul Lee, Zateotech, Admirero, Frozen, to Chief, Fat Honey Badger Pike, and Benicus. Thank you to all you lads. To the dedicated tier, to Nightside, Conway Supreme, Avisarum, Captain Hammer, DJB306, Morphine Dream, Cheetah, Hobbs, Tuggernuts, Domino, Real East, Dun and Dun, Paul Puck, Andrew G, Beer God, Legriv, Cravino, Mookie, Grimnos, Scooter, Yule, Justin, Lemon Russ, and McFly. And to, of course, the big guys, the Multiverse Masters, the ones that are really making sure that we can actually show up every single week. So to Agent Zero, Honeycombs, Da Hooch is right here, right now. I don't know why I read that so casually when you're right here, mate. The Grumpy Gamer Dad himself. To Silver Wolf, to Bronzy, Jedi Matroza, Slim, JW, Jay Shriver, Neil Wybird Wiley, Jackie246, Moon, Judas, Folpsy Smolpsy, Spark Zulu, Dragus, Della, Kane, and to Lord Keen, the Quixotic one himself. And not only does he get a custom shout out every week because of what he's done for the show, through a Patreon glitch that he's in this week, he accidentally subscribed a second time. So I reached out to him. We're going to rectify that. But he's so keen on helping us out. He's actually subscribed twice by accident. So thank you much for that one, mate. And of course, a big thank you to our new dedicated member, which is Creative Name. So thank you so much for signing up this week, mate. But that is going to do it for another week, ladies and gents. So until next week, cheers.